The music flows. Guests converse on the dance floor. Whispers fill the air. The sound of footsteps rings out. The clamor of the crowd comes to a sudden halt. A figure steps into the hall. Every gaze converges. Murmurs surge like a tide. Eileen Leasis. What is that villainess doing at the ball? I heard she abused her maids, forcing them to flee overnight. To be forced into an engagement with a woman like that. Poor second prince. Eileen's fingers tighten, clutching her hem. Eileen Leasis. In the eyes of the world, she is a notorious villainess. The eldest daughter of the Marquis, she is said to be indulged in cruelty and luxury. Rain pours, lightning tears through the night sky, illuminating the silhouette of the manor. But the truth is far from it. A figure stands by the window, a slender riding crop in hand. Eileen trembles all over. The crop lashes down violently upon her. Eileen falls to her knees, curling into a ball. That woman looks down at her. Eileen, you really are a useless child. If your father knew, what would he think? The woman yanks her up. She grips her dress tightly, her pupils contracting in terror. That woman speaks. A lady must maintain a perfect posture and a noble expression at all times. What should you do? Eileen is forced to lift her face, her body trembling involuntarily. The scars on her knees are clearly visible. She gazes blankly ahead, the light gone from her eyes. That woman smiles. Yes, she takes Eileen's hand. Now this expression is actually useful. A twisted smile curls at the corner of that woman's mouth. Foolish, pathetic thing. No one knew. Since her youth, the stepmother's abuse had never ceased. Is it really just because I'm dull and pathetic, as she says? A man grabs Eileen's arm. Miss Eileen, you must tell the Marquis what the madam has been doing. Eileen's eyes are hollow. She remains silent. A maid lies in a pool of blood. She reaches out. Mississippi, please run. Now, I couldn't protect anyone. A man holds a piece of strawberry cake, offering it to Eileen. Eat something. He watches her gently. I noticed you haven't touched a thing. He clearly loathed this marriage, yet he was still so kind to me. My fiancé. Until the very last moment, he was good to me. Even my fiancé. The man falls in a pool of blood. The second prince died because of you. Because he was engaged to you. Countless spectral fingers point at her. All the people who died, it's your fault. They should have stayed by your side. Death is worthless. She hangs her head, tears sliding down her cheeks. Because of me, everyone. A cold blade pierces Eileen's body. Blood spurts out. A cloaked assassin stands before her, the blade dripping with blood. He looks down at the fallen Eileen. The madam asked me to pass on a message. Don't worry, your family will be joining you soon. Eileen lies in a pool of blood, life draining away rapidly. Just like that, I was killed. Dazzling sunlight. A modern building comes into view. One iced Americano, please. The barista nods. Sure. The coffee machine whirs. He skillfully operates it. Customer 325, your iced Americano. Unexpectedly, I was reborn as a modern Korean. With all of Eileen Leasis's memories, I obtained a second life. But my second life wasn't much different from the first. My parents found me troublesome and mostly ignored me, and I kept my distance from them as well. Turning away once more, I began my third life. In a family of knights, I grew up as a genius swordsman, eventually earning the title of Swordmaster. I still don't understand why my life keeps repeating. I only know that no matter how I die, I will be reborn with the memories of my previous lives. But this time, things are different. A swordsman swings a blade of light at the monster before them. Damn it, why did a monster suddenly appear? He grips the sword hilt, eyes sharp, and charges forward. A knight looks at her in horror. Miss Eileen. Eileen holds a long sword, her gaze cold. There are monsters left. Go help the other knights. The knight stammers in response. Igrigajis. Miss Eileen Leasis. The foolish girl who couldn't protect anyone, who was abused by her stepmother and murdered in her first life, has now returned with the memories of a sword master. I don't know why I've returned to Eileen's body once again, but this time, Eileen's eyes sharpen. She leaps up, her blade pointed straight at the giant bear. Eileen swings her sword, and the giant bear's head rolls to the ground. Blood spatters everywhere. She lands steadily, standing over the monster's carcass, her blade dripping blood. I will never live that kind of life again. Eileen looks up, her gaze resolute, her long brown hair fluttering in the wind. Athena Academy, the Empire's sole academy. It houses not only talented commoners and nobles, but also royalty from foreign lands and even members of the imperial family. A true elite institution. The carriage arriving at this place slowly comes to a stop. The door opens, and a foot wearing a refined shoe steps out. Eileen Leasis has arrived. Eileen gazes at the distant academy. Seeing it with my own eyes, I finally feel the reality of my rebirth. I returned to the past a few days ago. At first, I didn't realize I had become Eileen Leasis again. A maid fearfully blocks the way before her. Miss Eileen, if you're scared, hide behind me. I'll protect you. Sarah? How can it be Sarah? I clearly remember she was dead. Wait, she just called me Miss Eileen. Eileen is suddenly stunned. Judging by the situation around her, combined with my past experiences of rebirth, I quickly understood. This strange phenomenon has happened to me once more. I am back in the 20-year-old body of Eileen Leasis. Whispers drift from the surroundings. Look, it's Eileen Leasis. Her carriage is certainly extravagant. And that dress. Anyone would think she's going to a ball. I heard she transferred to the night department just to follow the second prince. I really don't want to be in the same class as her. The maid Sarah looks worried. Miss, are you really all right? People have always disliked me, but this time, the students at the academy despise me even more. There are two reasons. First, I know nothing of swordsmanship, yet I transferred to the night department. Second, I am engaged to the Empire's second prince, Ferdinand. This wasn't my choice, but everyone believes I was the one who insisted on this engagement. I heard she used the threat of suicide to get engaged to the second prince. They say she transferred to the night department just to be near him. How innocent the other students are. In this whole mess, the biggest victim is Miss Ashley. Her lover was stolen by an unheard of villainess. She tarnished a knight's honor, tore a couple apart, and snatched the title of the second prince's fiancée. Of course, they would hate me. Eileen lowers her eyes. Sarah, don't worry about me. You should go back to the Marquise Manor now. Sarah grips her hands tightly. Are you really sure you'll be fine alone? Eileen gently holds her hand. Yes, I'm fine. She turns and walks away with a steady pace. All those rumors about me were fabricated by my stepmother, but I won't reveal this truth to anyone. The image of Sarah lying in a pool of blood flashes by. Mississippi, you must run. Because I already know the price of speaking the truth. So I must do all of this alone. This is a burden I must carry. Eileen enters her room, takes off the extravagant gown, and changes into the academy uniform. It's been a long time since I wore this. She touches her cuffs, her fingers brushing against the bandages. Her gaze falls upon the wrapped bandages. She touches them gently, a strange sense of familiarity surging in her heart. Outside the window, the night is deep. A figure stands by the window, holding a slender crop. Inside the room, Eileen sits on the floor, head bowed. Right before I left for the academy, my stepmother was still lashing me with the whip. My whole body aches. This is the evidence. This was the work of my stepmother, Corellia. Why did she beat me so viciously? She was going to kill me eventually anyway. Her words before my death kept echoing in my mind. This was no coincidence. Our family has a long history, having trained countless knights for the Empire. My father, though not a swordmaster, was a high-ranking knight. My younger brother, Karen, is learning swordsmanship to carry on the family tradition. But before I died, our entire family was pushed to the brink of destruction. It was all because of one person. I didn't understand before, but I think I do now. Someone must have been supporting her. But who could it be? Did someone come to see me then, too? Eileen suddenly looks up. Ah, I remember. Karen. Karen kicks the door open, roaring at Eileen. Are you crazy? What are you thinking? You can barely even walk, and you want to participate in training? Eileen watches him quietly. His temper hasn't changed at all. That's right. We argued just like this back then. Do you really have to transfer to the night department? Everyone already hates you. Karen grabs her wrist. Do you really have to transfer to the night department? And make your situation even worse? Eileen looks down at him. Karen has every reason to be angry. He's also a student in the swordsmanship department, dreaming of becoming a knight. My past must have brought him shame. At that moment, I was overwhelmed with humiliation. He must be furious. Even now, the situation hasn't changed at all. How do we end up like this? Sister, when we were little, we were close. You used to follow me everywhere. Karen looks at her, eyes confused. I don't know what you're thinking, but no matter what, you won't see the second prince. Eileen is slightly taken aback. The second prince? Karen's tone is firm. That's right. The second prince is in the senior class, while you're in the junior class. How could you possibly meet? Today, everyone is gathered for the swordsmanship assessment, but that's only for today. So give up. Go back to your original class. Karen's gaze falls on her bandaged hand. Eileen suddenly shakes off his hand. Why didn't you say you were injured? Eileen remains silent. She turns around, placing her hand on the door handle. If you're done talking, could you please leave? Karen looks at her in disbelief. What? Because I have a class to get to. The swordsmanship department of Athena Academy. People call it the Empire's last bastion, a place that trains knights. Knights fight bloodily on the front lines, defending against the increasing number of magical beasts. Eileen stands alone before the door. Senior class students are also sent to subjugate monsters. She takes a deep breath. Ferdinand took the field by order of the Emperor. Eileen pushes the door open, which lets out a heavy sound. She walks into the classroom. All eyes are on her. The air freezes instantly. Whispers spread through the crowd. She actually came. One incredible woman, in every sense of the word. Can that arm even hold a sword? He never came back. But then, Ferdinand appeared with a plate of strawberry cake. Have you eaten? It seems you haven't touched a bite. Eileen looks up and sees that familiar face. Her pupils shrink, her heart pounding wildly. He's still alive. Derek Athon stands by the window, arms crossed. No matter how I think about it, Duke Lycis's request is too absurd. Duke Lycis, head of the 5 major families, guarding the very front of the magical beast blockade. Though not a swordmaster, his ability to protect the front line for years is commendable. Even so, he has made a major mistake recently. Derek frowns. Not only did he use his prestige to get his daughter into the swordsmanship department, he even forcibly pushed through her engagement to the Empire's second prince. Ferdinand sits by the window, leisurely turning the pages of a book. Thinking of this, Derek trembles with rage. That villainous's fiancée is actually this relaxed. Heavens, how vulgar. Derek gestures excitedly. Ferdinand, this is simply unbelievable. Didn't you hear the Duchess crying? She knelt on the ground, begging, please save my daughter. Eileen said if she couldn't get engaged to you, that she would kill herself. The rumors say Eileen used coercion. That woman has always been and will always be a stumbling block for you. Her love for you is nothing more than for the title of the second prince's fiancé. Ferdinand listens in silence, his eyes devoid of any ripples. Ferdinand, I don't want to see you ruined. No matter how excellent you are, as long as the Emperor favors the first prince, the throne will never be yours. Derek Atheron continues. You must build your strength. Stronger than you are now. What we need right now is a knight who can become a source of power. Although Karen is exceptionally gifted, Duke Ashley is the strongest swordmaster in the Empire. So, Ashley's daughter. Derek suddenly snaps. I'm talking. Why are you always spacing out? What are you even? Derek's gaze moves past Ferdinand and falls on the small figure at the door. He flinches, his pupils contracting. Ferdinand finally speaks. Derek, I don't believe in rumors. I only believe what I see with my own eyes. Ferdinand gazes at Eileen, a slight smile playing on his lips. It's been a while. This is our first meeting since the engagement. My heart trembles. Even through 3 cycles of rebirth, he was never forgotten. What should I say to him? No. Do I even have the right to speak to him? Eileen is frozen in place, her feet feeling as heavy as lead. A curse explodes in her mind. The second prince died because of you. Because he was by your side, he died. Eileen suddenly turns and flees from Ferdinand's sight. A group of swordsmanship students gathers in the center of the training grounds. Edward stands before them, his voice booming. Welcome to the Swordsmanship Assessment Training Ground. I am Edward Folan, the instructor in charge of the junior class. As you know, the first day of school usually begins with an assessment. This is the junior class's only opportunity to observe the swordsmanship of the senior class. So watch closely. Now that the explanation is finished, we will begin the assessment immediately. Eileen lowers her eyes. The swordsmanship assessment. What was I like back then? Memories surface. Her past self's hands were trembling so much she couldn't even lift the sword. The surrounding students burst into piercing laughter. She can't even lift her sword. How pathetic. I had no choice but to keep trying, because no matter what, I wanted to learn swordsmanship. I had yearned for it since I was a child. The young Eileen peeks from behind the door as her brother practices his sword. But a harsh voice rings out, peeking again. Eileen is so startled, she falls to the floor. The stepmother looks down at her, eyes cold. I told you, a lady does not learn swordsmanship. Every attempt was ruthlessly blocked. So when I transferred to the swordsmanship department, I was overjoyed. But that joy didn't last long. Do you think staring at me like that will change anything? Philip, because of this narrow-minded guy. That he tormented me relentlessly. He snorts. Eileen Lycis. Don't call my name with such casual familiarity. So what if there are rules? I am royalty of the Edwin Kingdom, and you are just an imperial noble. He must have hated me addressing him directly. The first emperor of Lexia had set a rule at the academy. With the exception of the imperial family, no one's social status should be considered. In other words, royalty and commoners could speak to each other freely without issue. Philip's voice is low, like a snake's hiss. More importantly, do you want me to tell you what's going to happen next? How much humiliation someone like you, who can't even become a proper knight, will suffer. Eileen endures his verbal attacks. Even if you say that, she looks directly at Philip. I'm not afraid of you. What? Edward's voice interrupts the confrontation. All right, that's enough explanation. He waves the documents in his hand. From now on, we will begin the swordsmanship assessment. Edward gives the order. Eileen Leasis, step forward and demonstrate your swordplay. Eileen answers with her eyes downcast. She steps forward, eyes resolute. Watch from right there. Then judge for yourself whether I am a true knight or not. Eileen grips the sword hilt. So heavy, in her current physical condition, just lifting it makes her tremble. Philip sneers from the stands. Look at those trembling hands. Eileen grinds her teeth. I'm going to get blisters again. She stands alone in the center of the training ground, her figure appearing exceptionally thin. Everyone has mana in their dantian, and of course, I do too. It's about the same as an average person. The difference between me and an average person is that I once lived a life as a swordmaster. So, I know how to use mana. In the stands, Philip's pupils contract. What's going on? The trembling stopped? How? Long ago, my father called me and Karen over to tell us the origins of our family bloodline. Duke Leasis stood before the two young children, his voice solemn and dignified. Our family has passed down a legacy for generations. Every 2 or 3 generations, a descendant is born with the aptitude of a master. If I fail to become a swordmaster, then one of you will possess that talent. My father never became a swordmaster in his life. Karen didn't become a swordmaster either. So, the one chosen by the sword. Light flashes in Eileen's eyes, her pupils reflecting the glow of awakening. It's me. She holds the sword high, power coursing through her limbs. Karen swings his sword, and the training dummy topples. He stands tall, letting out a long breath. Sweat slides down his tense muscles, his chest heaving slightly. Eileen's gaze is indifferent. If you're done talking, please leave. Karen is stunned in place. What? Eileen turns toward the door. I have a class. Damn it, I was worried about her, but she kicked me out. How did you hurt your hand? I heard you ran into a group of monsters on your way here. Did you get hurt then? The swordsmanship assessment should be over by now. After all, the schedules for different classes are different. Hey, did you hear about Eileen Leasis? What about her? The student lowers their voice. I heard from the senior class that just finished their assessment. Before the student can finish, a hand suddenly grabs their shoulder. Hey! The student trembles, looking back in terror. Karen looks down at the student, his gaze dangerous, yet captivating. Tell me that story too. Good work, everyone. The assessment is over. He turns to leave. All right, class dismissed. Just as Eileen is about to leave, a voice calls her name. Eileen Leasis. Philip suddenly bows deeply. I offer you my sincerest apologies. Eileen is slightly surprised. She frowns. Lift your head. Everyone is watching. But Philip stubbornly maintains his posture. No, I'm not ashamed about you. The way you wielded your blade was more knightly than anyone else. The one who truly didn't act like a knight was me. I let narrow-minded prejudice cloud my judgment. Philip clenches his fist. I finally realized how meaningless those rumors are. He looks up and stares straight at Eileen. Please accept my apology. I hope we can get along in the future. I'm a bit surprised, but makes sense. He's already different from the past. Now, even the way the other students look at me has changed. This means Eileen's pupils contract slightly as a thought flashes by. Perhaps Ferdinand's fate will change because of this too. Eileen reaches out and shakes his hand. I accept your apology. She immediately lets go and turns to leave. I have something to do, so I'll be going. Footsteps fade into the distance. Lord Ferdinand. Ferdinand turns at the sound. Eileen's expression is calm. I want to speak with you alone. Can you spare a moment? Eileen stands before Ferdinand. Thank you for taking the time, Lord Ferdinand. I asked you to come because Ferdinand watches her quietly. He speaks gently. You can have as much time as you need. Eileen suddenly looks up, a flash of surprise in her eyes. Ferdinand takes a step forward. However, he gently takes Eileen's hand. After we finish talking, you should go to the infirmary. Eileen stares at him blankly. Ferdinand is kind to everyone, treats everyone fairly, and is gentle and compassionate by nature. Eileen lowers her eyes. He's being this nice to me probably because of that too, even though he was forced into this engagement. But he must resent me. She looks up. Lord Ferdinand, you received the Emperor's order to subjugate monsters, right? A look of bewilderment flashes in Ferdinand's eyes. How? Did you hear it from Lord Karen? Eileen's gaze is firm. I also know that my name is on the list for the subjugation team. I asked you here today because I want to request that you don't do anything for me. Ferdinand listens quietly, his expression becoming complex. Inside Ferdinand's office, Derek leans against the edge of the desk. You all got the list, right? The list for the monster subjugation team. He raises his hand, his expression serious. As everyone knows, monster subjugation is one of our academy's regular activities. Usually, members are selected from the top 5 in each class of the swordsmanship and magic departments, and they form a team with experienced senior knights. His gaze darkens, and for this subjugation, you were chosen, along with Ferdinand Amon, Hedier from the senior swordsmanship class, and Lilia from the senior magic class. Amon sits on the sofa, his voice flat. Regardless of the selection results, why do you talk as if you're the captain? Derek suddenly stands up, his cheeks flushing. It's not like that. He coughs lightly. I was just before Ferdinand arrives. Stop making an announcement. Though your enthusiasm for the main army is quite impressive. Derek's eyebrows knit together. I prefer you call it loyalty. Karen remains silent. I didn't hear all the details either. But isn't Eileen Lisis your sister? They say she perfectly executed the Lisis family swordsmanship. Karen suddenly looks up, a flash of shock in his eyes. Impossible. She never officially learned swordsmanship. How could she master our family's techniques? I used to catch her peeking in my training and secretly mimicking my movements, but that was a long time ago. She gave up on it long ago. Then what was that about? There's another unexpected name on the list. Eileen Lisis. The Marquis must be very happy. Brother and sister participating side by side in such a prestigious monster subjugation. Karen suddenly stands up. My sister's inclusion is absurd. She just transferred to the swordsmanship department, and this kind of mission is reserved for top students. Amon turns to Derek Atheron. You were there today. What did you think of Eileen Lisis? Derek adds, you should have seen it yourself. He clears his throat. Anyway, I never thought I'd say this, but her swordsmanship was flawless. Karen's fist clenches tightly, his knuckles turning white. No matter how good she is, I absolutely refuse to bring my sister on the monster subjugation. The room falls silent as everyone looks at each other. What's wrong with him? Are those two siblings close? They don't look like it. In the distance, Lilia throws her head back and laughs, her laughter manic and piercing. What touching sibling affection. I once had a brother like that too. Lilia walks toward Karen. But now, I can never see him again. Ice-cold fire burns in Lilia's eyes. Because of you, enough, Lilia. He lowers his voice. That rumor. Lilia's mouth curls into a cold smile. Rumor? Lilia's smile grows colder. Are you telling me that the story of your sister killing my brother is just a rumor? If it really is a rumor, why does everyone believe it's true? I don't care if your sister joins or not, but if she comes, don't expect me to lift a finger to help. Just keeping my magic from accidentally hurting her will take all my concentration. Karen's fist clenches again, his fingers trembling with force. A light sound comes from outside the door. Ferdinand pushes the door and enters. You got here faster than I expected. Derek's brow furrows. Eileen Lisis must be playing tricks again. What did Eileen Lisis say? Eileen's voice echoes in Ferdinand's mind. Lord Ferdinand, you received His Majesty's order for the monster hunt. No matter what, I will participate in this monster hunt. I want to go, so you don't need to mention that order again. I asked you here today to request that you don't do anything for me. Ferdinand tiredly rubs his forehead and sighs. It seems Lady Eileen will also be participating in this monster hunt. Everyone's expressions freeze instantly as they look at Ferdinand in shock. Eileen sits heavily back on her bed and lets out a long sigh. I haven't done much, but I'm so tired. Whether in her past life or this one, participating in a monster hunt was already decided, simply because it was the Emperor's will. The Emperor sits on his throne, looking down at Ferdinand below. Didn't the Lisis family go to great lengths to transfer their daughter to the swordsmanship department? She must have the corresponding strength. Ferdinand looks up urgently at the throne. Your Majesty. The Ferdinand of the past had protested to the Emperor. Are you going to defy my command? His protest was completely ignored. In the end, the hunt went ahead, and Eileen was part of it. During that hunt, Karen lost an arm. And Ferdinand forever lost his former lover, Miss Ashley, because he chose to save me and gave up on Miss Ashley. Because of that choice, Ferdinand had to endure Duke Ashley's wrath. From then on, Ferdinand's position began to falter. It was precarious. Eileen suddenly grips her wrist, the wounds under the bandages throbbing with pain. Of course, in this life, those things will absolutely not happen again. The hunting party departs in a month. Damn, it's starting again. Before then, I must increase my physical strength and mana core as much as possible. Karen suddenly pushes the door open. Eileen's body stiffens. "Okay, Karen." Karen's face is twisted with anger. He notices blood seeping through the bandages on Eileen's palm. Karen roars, "How is your hand even worse than before? And you still want to go on the monster hunt? Are you crazy? Also, why did you use our family's swordsmanship during the assessment?" Karen takes a deep breath, forcing down his anger. "I wanted to say." Karen calms his breathing and speaks again. "I heard you're going on the monster hunt. Do you know what that means? You could die." Eileen responds calmly, "I know." She turns toward the door. "But this is the Emperor's will. Even Lord Ferdinand can't stop it. I'm going." Karen looks at her back. "How can you be so calm? Do you really not know what a monster hunt means? Or do you just have no sense of reality?" Lilia wants revenge for her brother. "Not only that, you'll be with a bunch of people who look down on you. Even so, you're going?" Eileen's gaze is resolute. "Yes." A month later, on the day the monster hunting party departs, the camp is buzzing with people and horses. Knights are ready, their gear in order. Wagons are loaded with supplies. Everything is prepared. Lilia's brother was once my attendant. A man with silver-white, medium-length hair approaches. He smiles and places a hand on his chest. "I am Calypso. From today on, I am your attendant." But he died soon after. When Lilia saw her brother's cold body, she broke down. She threw herself into frantic magic training, the fire of revenge burning in her eyes. She looks at Eileen's back with a complex gaze. To avenge her brother. The sound of hooves breaks the dawn as the hunting party travels through the forest. Derek, on horseback, frowns. "No matter how I think about it, this combination is just too strange." He looks at Eileen up ahead. "We've been riding for a long time. Aren't you tired? Wait, when did you learn to ride horse? What on earth have you been doing behind my back?" Those two look very close, which is already strange enough. I can't ignore Lilia's silence either, because I know exactly what that smile means. Derek crosses his arms, unable to help but shiver. I had a feeling something would happen before we even left. Fortunately, Lilia backed off at the last moment. Derek glares. Most importantly, a grand carriage slowly approaches. Miss Ashley has arrived as well. This has simply turned into a farce. Derek sighs. This monster subjugation mission likely won't be that simple. Ferdinand rides closer. I've been worrying about Ferdinand too. After this subjugation is over, you really need to reconsider your engagement. Once you graduate from the academy, those of us loyal to you will officially become your knights. By then, the first prince will have already built up his own forces to oppose you. The first prince has the emperor's support, so you're at a disadvantage from the start. If you keep Eileen by your side, you'll be forced to spend all your time quelling internal divisions instead of fighting. He remains silent for a moment. Derek, have you ever actually seen Lady Eileen cause trouble? Derek is momentarily speechless. What? This? Well, of course. Memories of nobles whispering surface. Are you talking about that villainess from the Leases Marquis family? It's such a shame for the Marquis. His lifelong reputation is ruined by one daughter. Luckily, he has more than one child. Derek suddenly snaps back. No. I've never seen it with my own eyes. A knight's call comes from ahead. There's a clearing up front. We'll set up camp there tonight. Sunlight filters through the trees, bathing everyone. For horses gallop toward the distant clearing, leaving small silhouettes on the vast grass. Eileen leads her horse, her posture tall and straight, casting a long shadow in the sunset. Derek, what if her so-called past is actually a lie? Who will compensate for all that? Derek avoids Ferdinand's gaze. That's too much of a leap, and don't say things like that in front of Lilia. Night falls, and the campfire is lit. Eileen sprinkles something into the pot. Karen watches her. You're cooking? Someone who only learned ladies' etiquette? Eileen hands him a bowl of soup. Here. Karen takes the bowl. Oh, thanks. He scoops up a spoonful of stew and eats it. It tastes really good. Sister, I really understand you less and less. My sister from when we were kids. You were like a flower, loved by everyone. I never thought there would be a day I'd hate you. Not until years later when we drifted apart. Sister, are you going to see the new stepmother? Are you already that close? Give some time to me, too. Karen smiles and grabs her arm, but she suddenly shakes him off. Karen is stunned. Sister? She turns and walks away without looking back. Sorry. I'm going to be late. I know. After I left, I always wanted to get close to you, but the distance between us never shortened. Karen, why are you crying? It's about stepmother. Sister. She's changed so much. I don't know why she suddenly became like that. Even the servants are talking behind her back. The stepmother takes the boy into her arms. She might have just had a change of heart. Why don't you keep your distance for a while? Wait until Eileen goes back to how she was. Don't worry. In the meantime, I'll take good care of Eileen. Karen's tears fall. Yes. By the campfire, Eileen and Karen sit side by side. Karen asks, how is life in the swordsmanship department? Eileen scoops a spoonful of stew. It's all right. Karen continues. Can you keep up with the classes? Isn't it tough? Eileen answers, it's fine. Karen falls silent for a moment. Is it? The two fall into silence, the atmosphere somewhat heavy. Eileen's mouth suddenly turns up in a smile. Karen looks at her, puzzled. Were you laughing at all of a sudden? She shakes her head. It's nothing. Eileen closes her eyes. I was just thinking about how long it's been since we sat together like this, and how strange it feels hearing you call me sister. Karen looks at her. What's so strange about that? I'm just telling the truth. Footsteps approach. It seems the food is to your liking. Amon holds an apple. She can actually laugh so calmly in front of someone who's trying to kill Lilia. Are you really that dull, or do you just not care? Karen stands up and approaches him. Don't pick a fight, Lord Amon. People say even a dog shouldn't be bothered while eating. You're worse than a dog. Insulting Amon. Amon's gaze sharpens. Enough, Karen. Even for you. Amon's hand rests on his sword hilt. A hand suddenly grabs Amon's arm. Stop, Ferdinando. You're not taking that woman's side right now, are you? Eileen looks down. This is bad. Everyone is looking over. If Lord Ferdinand defends me, it will only put me in a difficult position. I heard Mr. Amon is a genius swordsman, but you seem to be better at stirring people up. Eileen's voice was icy. Looks like the rumors were false. You're only good with your mouth. Amon's face moved closer. Killing intent filled the air. Do you want to die? If that's your wish, I can kill you right now. Fury flared in his eyes. A sinister black aura spread around him. Then a voice broke the standoff. That won't do. Ashley stepped forward. Her clear voice rang out. I don't allow duels. The young lady, beloved by everyone, frail and often ill because of an excess of divine power. Even so, she had never once missed a battle against monsters. Mr. Ferdinando's former lover, the old maid of the new Reich Empire, Lady Ashley. It's so cold. Why did you come out? Ashley's voice was gentle. I heard some commotion outside, so I came. She turned to Eileen. Hello, Miss Lasis. We've passed each other a few times, but this is our first proper meeting, isn't it? Eileen bowed slightly. It's a pleasure to meet you, my lady. Ashley had not attended the engagement ceremony. In my previous life, I had never greeted Lady Ashley like this either. Before the monsters appeared, she had never left the carriage. And after that, she died. Eileen raised her eyes and met Ashley's gaze. She was staring at me the whole time. She probably doesn't think much of me. After all, I'm engaged to her ex. Ashley moved closer to Eileen. Miss Lasis. A trace of amusement flashed in her eyes. You're a very interesting person. Your eyes seem to be shining just now. Ashley turned to Amon. Mr. Amon. A bright smile bloomed on her face. On second thought, a duel does sound nice, but I should be the opponent. Everyone gasped in shock. What? Ashley's gaze returned to Eileen. You don't mind, do you? Eileen thought, does she want revenge on me through Mr. Amon? If that is milady's wish, I have no objection. Ashley smiled brightly. Wonderful. Then let's go. Ashley stood in the middle of the clearing and announced the rules. We'll have a moderate duel. The rules are simple, a fair fight, and keep injuries to a minimum. After all, we came to subjugate monsters, not people. Ashley's gaze swept over the two of them. Then begin. Wind rustled through the trees. Eileen and Amon faced each other, as expected of a genius swordsman. His stance was clean and efficient, with no wasted movement. In this life, I crossed swords with him. But in my previous life, Amon had been the knight Ferdinando sent to protect me. What are you doing? Don't just stand there, idiot. Run. He was always foul-mouthed and lazy, and in the end, he never became a swordmaster. But he understood what a knight's spirit was. When Ferdinando died, he no longer had any duty to protect me. Yet he obeyed that command until the very end. No matter how much I hated him, one thing was one thing. Eileen drew in a sharp breath, and blue divine power burst from her body. Amon's pupils shrank. What? Eileen's figure became an afterimage as she shot forward in an instant. Her sword flashed like lightning. The clashing blades screeched harshly. Amon grit his teeth. I'm actually being overpowered? Eileen kicked him hard in the side. The blow sent him flying. Amon rolled several times across the ground before stopping. This is insane. What is this? Amon dropped to one knee. clutching his stomach in disbelief. I got hit by Eileen, by that complete amateur. Eileen held her sword loosely. Moonlight outlined her figure as she looked down at her fallen opponent. Her eyes were cold. Looks like you still haven't come to your senses. She slowly raised her sword. Its blade gleamed coldly in the night. Eileen smiled lightly. It's fine. A few more hits, and you'll wake up. Terror filled Amon's face. What? A scream split the night and echoed through the woods. Eileen swung her sword, its edge tracing a cold arc of light. She sheathed her sword in one clean motion. I lost. I lost to Eileen. Lasis. Ashley walked over to Eileen. Miss Lasis. A faint smile touched her lips. Then the duel is over. Yes. Wasn't she hoping to get revenge through Sir Amon? Her expression looked as though she had expected this outcome all along. Amon struggled upright, bracing himself with his sword. He looked at Eileen. How did you do that? Amon demanded. You only started practicing recently. I saw clearly at the banquet. Your hands were flawless. They'd never held a sword, not even a needle. You knew nothing about swordsmanship, and even less about a knight's honor. How could you possibly possess such skill? Eileen suddenly turned. A red flash streaked past. What are you? Ugh. Monsters poured out from the woods, crimson eyes glinting in the dark. Gates. Amon clenched his jaw. Since when? Ashley suddenly staggered. Amon hurried to support her. My lady. She clutched her chest, breathing fast, her face pale. A massive monster appeared behind her, opening its bloody maw with a deafening roar. Eileen drew her sword, her blade glowing with a blue light. She killed the monster in an instant. It's starting. There are too many monsters. With her, we can't run fast. This way, there's a place to hide here. The monsters roared through the forest, searching for them. This place still isn't completely safe, but at least we can catch our breath. The two of them sat leaning against a rock. The monsters had appeared earlier than expected, and most of them were upper tier or above. Eileen tilted her head toward the sky. Could this have something to do with my return to the past? Hey, Eileen. Amon leaned closer. Let me see your back. Eileen immediately covered herself. Amon's face turned red. You bastard. You're wound. I just wanted to apply medicine. You got hurt saving me just now. Eileen looked at the blood on her shoulder and froze. It's just that you can't reach that spot yourself. I was trying to help you put medicine on it. What kind of person do you take me for? The medicine bowl was placed on the ground with a soft sound. Why did Lady Ashley suddenly have an attack? Amon explained, her body contains powerful divine power, so she has episodes often. This time, I think the monsters triggered her power. I see. This kind of condition is miserable. Suddenly, he started talking about his own past, confusing Eileen. When I was little, I once followed my father to an underground prison. Maybe it was to toughen up his lazy son, or maybe to teach me a lesson, make me understand the price of crime. But even now, I still remember the prisoner I saw that day. He was tied to a post, tortured mercilessly like livestock. His body was covered in old wounds. That grotesque scar looked just like the one on your back. Eileen shuddered violently. Who did it? Amon's voice turned cold. Which idiot dared lay a hand on someone from a marquis family? This is absurd. Eileen stood up. Sir Amon, please take Lady Ashley back immediately. Amon looked up in disbelief. What? Lady Ashley's breathing was growing faster. Her condition was worsening. What do you take me for? If anyone should go, it should be you carrying Milady and escaping. She shoved Amon hard. I'm begging you. Please go. I run faster than you, Mr. Amon, so you have to go get help. Ferdinando's eyes turned cold. He scanned the area. Something was wrong. I can still hear the monsters, but they don't dare come near. Could there be? Ferdinando's eyes swept across the bushes. He sensed something. Footsteps sounded. Amon emerged from the hiding place, carrying Ashley. What happened? Did you run into monsters? The ground suddenly shook. Wait, why are there only two of you? Where's Sir Eileen? Amon lowered his head. We split up on the way. She said she'd act as bait. Ferdinando's pupils contracted sharply. Slash. Pierce. Cut down. This was Eileen, standing alone, surrounded by holy blue light. This was the third time. A movement I had repeated so often in life that I'd grown sick of it. Her eyes fixed on the darkness ahead, blood splattered across her face. Killing intent blazed from her. In that disaster overrun with monsters, law and order had long ceased to exist. Slaughtering hordes of monsters was not a choice. It was necessary for survival. In that life, I once glimpsed the very summit, the realm called Sword Saint. If I had awakened to my talent earlier in my first life, could I have stopped anyone from dying? Eileen's eyes sharpened. Back then, I couldn't protect them, but she swung hard at the monster lunging for her. This time, I will protect them. Eileen Roaret, die. Blue light ripped across the night sky. At the same time, Ferdinando's group finally arrived. What do you mean? My sister became bait? Karen grabbed him on by the collar. Don't tell me you abandoned her just so you could live. And you still call yourself a knight? I have to save her. Eileen Lacis is alone, acting as bait for a horde of monsters. To me, that sounded no different from suicide. That woman, Lilia's eyes darkened. She must not die so easily. Karen stared at her in disgust. That's why you want to save her? What the hell is wrong with you, Lilia? Ferdinando grabbed him sharply by the collar. Watch your tongue. Sir Karen, calm down. Right now, getting Miss Eileen medicine is the priority. I'll go request reinforcements. Karen clenched his jaw, his eyes fierce. If anything happens to my sister, I'll never forgive you, you shameless coward. Meanwhile, on another forest path, Eileen staggered forward, her body swaying. She panted heavily. I erased every trace. I dealt with the monsters using sword energy. Only a sword saint could do that. They'll just think I died. As long as I take a detour and return to the night camp. She stopped walking. Return? Can I really return? Return to their side? Calypso, Lilia's older brother, Calypso. No matter how many times I repeat my life, I will never forget him. He was the first person to realize how vicious my stepmother truly was. Calypso held Eileen's hand. You must tell the Marquis what the Marchioness has done. If you think it will be difficult, I'll stay with you. So, when the Marquis returns from the front, please tell him, miss. But what if, just like my stepmother said, father thinks I'm worthless? What if nothing changes? Calypso's voice was firm and warm. That's not true. Lord Marquis cares for Miss Eileen. He smiled, planting the seeds of courage and friendship in my heart. Look, Eileen, I caught a little rat. Calypso lay motionless in a pool of blood. That arrogant fool actually dared warn me about things that never even happened. Because of someone's lies, one of my attendants had to die. Eileen trembled all over, her legs giving out as she collapsed to the ground. I should have said my mother never beat me, but I couldn't endure it, so I told him. Calypso's cold corpse was sent back home. Because of my stepmother's lies, I was branded as killer. My reputation had already been ruined. No one wanted to know the truth. Rain drizzled down. Eileen stood in the rain. Why did I have to return to this exact point in time? If I could have come back earlier, I would have told Calypso everything. Eileen clenched her fists. Wait, this time is different. Unlike before, Lady Ashley survived this time. Eileen lowered her head in thought. Maybe the future will change because of that too. If I don't return and people think I died in the village, maybe a better future will come. If I disappear, everyone can be happy. She suddenly looked up. Someone was coming. Ferdinando appeared in the rain, staring at her in shock. Miss Eileen. Eileen swayed, stumbling. Why did it have to be you? Ferdinando broke through the curtain of rain, shouting loudly, Miss Eileen. At the same time, in a Lacis Marquiate, a woman stood by the window. She gently swirled a wine glass, the red wine inside as dark as blood. She raised her glass, a cold smile curling on her lips. A few days later, at the Lacis Marquiate, the estate was under heavy guard. Knights were stationed everywhere, keeping all intruders at bay. For a Marquis family, this was undoubtedly the height of displayed power. That power came from the glorious military achievements the Marquis Lacis had built on the front lines. It also proved his unshakable position in the empire. Yet there was someone else enjoying his power, wealth, and honor, living in the Marquiate like a queen. She was the Marquis Lacis's second wife, Eileen Lacis's stepmother. The stepmother stared at the roses on the table. I've been married to Marquis Lacis for more than 10 years. High-quality Orisis roses, servants at my beck and call. It seems I've grown too immersed in the role of Marchioness. She picked up a pair of shears and cut through a flower stem without hesitation. If I had to return to my original role, I might feel a trace of regret. She called softly, Raymond, do you want to go back to where you came from? I used black magic to hide all traces of my swordsmanship because it doesn't suit the role of a Marchioness. Several decades earlier, a man sat on a throne, looking down at the kneeling woman before him. I've heard of your outstanding talent. A talent even stronger than Marquis Lacis's. Forgive my frankness. Your Majesty, I summoned you because I need your strength. There are not many swordmasters in this empire. Only 3. Yes, only 3. Even standing at the top of the empire, I cannot deal with them as I please. And my current situation does not allow me freedom of action. I will not sit and wait to die. Help me stop them from going out of control. Krelia, I will become your sword. I will fight for you. The stepmother's memories returned to the present. She smiled scornfully. That was a long time ago. His Majesty always wanted to annex the lands of Marquis Lasis, a family that produces swordmasters. That's why I hid my identity for so long. The Marquis's greatest legacy was being destroyed by its own young sprout. The Marquis was trapped at the front and could hardly return home. Everything had been going so smoothly. Then the stepmother snatched up a report. Written on it were the words, "The subjugation force from Stead Academy returned safely in full, thanks to the help of a passing swordmaster." The stepmother's eyes turned icy. A passing swordmaster? Furious, she hurled the vase to the ground. Porcelain shattered everywhere. A maid rushed in and knocked. "I am sorry, madam." I heard a loud crash. The stepmother turned, a fake smile on her face. My hand slipped. "Could you clean it up for me?" The maid hurried forward. "Yes, of course. I'll clean it right away." "You're not hurt, are you?" The stepmother waved her off. "I'm fine." The maid bowed. "Then I'll take my leave." After the maid left, the stepmother's smile vanished instantly. "Raymond, do you think this makes any sense?" Raymond lowered his head. "The news we received yesterday was certainly strange." The stepmother's gaze sharpened. "There are only so many sword masters on this continent, and yet one just happened to pass through that forest." She pressed a hand to her forehead. "Princess Ashley was supposed to die during that subjugation. Then the Duke would have abandoned Ferdinando. I went to such lengths to force him into an engagement with the second prince and send him into the swordsmanship department. And my plan was ruined by some passing swordmaster. Ridiculous." The stepmother slammed her fist onto the table in rage. Raymond calmly reminded her, "If you break it, it will be troublesome." The stepmother took a deep breath, forcibly suppressing her anger. Her dark eyes fixed on Raymond. "At Stag Academy, there are rumors that Eileen can use a sword. I have to confirm whether what Sir Rican said is true." The stepmother recalled her first meeting with Eileen. She still remembered that innocent girl. "Hello. From now on, may I call you mother?" Her eyes turned cold. "I'm not your mother, you idiot." Those innocent eyes, that flower-like figure, a perfect example of noble birth. Young Eileen swung a wooden sword in the courtyard. How did Karen swing his sword again? Let me think. Just as I once desired her, that child possessed the talent of Swordmaster. No, I was terribly wrong. The stepmother swung a riding crop, striking young Eileen. The girl fell to the ground, clutching at her skirt in terror. "Mother!" The stepmother's eyes grew vicious. "I have to destroy her. That child has the muscles a Swordmaster needs. She already has more talent than that person. Please, don't treat the young lady like this. Aren't you afraid of divine punishment? You won't be forgiven. A mère servante à lecture. A servant is nothing but a supporting role, utterly insignificant." From that day on, Eileen completely broke. Her spirit was utterly destroyed. A cold smile touched the stepmother's lips. In the end, it wasn't a bad choice. There isn't much left to do. Since His Majesty's plan is already in motion, there must not be any more mistakes. Go to the academy, Raymond. Confirm whether she really can use a sword. Even if she studied swordsmanship with broken bones, at most she could only reach the level of a high-ranking knight. But if she really can use a sword, what if her wrist were to break by accident? Raymond, meanwhile, in Eileen's room, Eileen Lasis lay in bed. Karen sat by the bedside, quietly watching her. His bandaged hand trembled slightly. Eileen's eyelids fluttered. She slowly opened her eyes. Karen hurriedly supported her. "Sister, you're awake." Eileen pressed a hand to her forehead, her voice weak. "Where is this?" Karen held her shoulder down. "Don't get up. This is the academy. Your room." Eileen looked around. "My room. Looks like I was unconscious for a long time." She looked down at her changed clothes and her bandaged hand. "Who changed my clothes? They must have seen my scars." "Why you really?" Karen suddenly stood up. His face flushed red as he shouted. "Are you insane? You almost died. What were you even thinking? How strong do you think you are? You actually dared to act as bait." He froze instantly, cheeks burning. "I'm not angry. It's just," watching Karen's awkward reaction, she realized it wasn't him who changed my clothes. If it had been him, he would have asked about those scars first. Karen's arms. Even in that situation, he still protected me. I really feel so relieved. A relieved smile appeared on Eileen's face. She tightly grabbed Karen's hand. Karen's eyes reddened. Tears welled in them. He jerked his hand free. "Then why did you do something that could get you killed? From now on, never do that again. If you think you're going to die, then run. Then surrender." "Got it." I think I saw tears in his eyes. Must have been my imagination. Karen straightened up. "You should lie down a little longer." Eileen sat up. "I'm festy." Karen immediately turned away. "Wait here. I'll get you some. Thank goodness Ferdinando isn't here." Karen came back holding a cup of water, sounding annoyed. That guy is so irritating. He kept coming by while you were sleeping. Eileen took the cup. Don't joke around. I'm not joking. Lord Ferdinando came to my room. Impossible. She took a sip of water, and yet there was a perfectly valid reason. Ferdinando had carried her unconscious body. Miss Eileen, wake up. Lord Ferdinando. Yes. Please say it. Don't treat me like this. Don't be so gentle. That's exactly what I told him. After hearing that, there's no way he'd come to my room again. But luckily, the Academy approved the visit. Whose visit? Karen's voice came. Lord Raymond's. Eileen's eyes widened in horror. Karen continued. Mother must have been very worried about you. She asked the Academy to assign Lord Raymond as your guard. Isn't that good? Didn't you always admire Lord Raymond? Sister, Eileen trembled all over. Lord Raymond is coming here? Meanwhile, in the central hall conference room, Derek sat among the others, his expression grave. Strange things had been happening one after another lately. They had thought it was a pack of low-level monsters, but it turned out to be upper-tier monsters. A Swordmaster appeared out of nowhere and dealt with them. And what happened there with Eileen Lasis made Amon act very strangely too. But he glanced to the side. The strangest one was Ferdinando. Ferdinando sat with his arms folded, eyes closed, as if the meeting had nothing to do with him. How is Miss Eileen? Karen answered. She still hasn't woken up. But Lord Ferdinando, aren't you busy? I'm not busy. Derek screamed inwardly. How could he not be busy? He would have visited Eileen Lasis every day. Ferdinando, who was always perfect, had lately often been caught absent-mindedly staring out the window, as if his soul had left his body. Derek wiped his forehead with the back of his hand. He knew this would bring him trouble, but His Majesty's order could not be delayed any longer. Ferdinando, what exactly are you thinking? Ferdinando recalled that rainy night. He had been holding the unconscious Eileen. Miss Eileen, wake up. Eileen weakly opened her eyes. Lord Ferdinando, yes, please tell me. Why you look at me like that? This warmth is more than I can bear. Hate me, like everyone else. Just like that. Ferdinando's eyes shifted slightly. Why did she suddenly say those things? Don't be kind to me. Hate me like everyone else does. Does Miss Eileen hate me? Is that why she doesn't want me near her? Did she say those things on purpose to push me away? Lord Ferdinando, how long do you plan to keep us waiting in silence? Hey, why are you talking like that? Ferdinando lifted his head. Lilia is right. Derek, I called this meeting, yet I'm the one who lost focus. But I don't see Lady Ashley. Does anyone know where she went? Amon answered. She went to visit Miss Eileen. You just called her Miss Eileen, not Eileen Lasis. Amon explained. I ran into her on my way here. She said she heard Miss Eileen had woken up. Lady Ashley told me not to wait for her and to start the meeting. Derek complained. He's ignoring us on purpose. Hearing that, something moved in Ferdinando's eyes. Miss Eileen is awake. That's good. You all seem quite close to her now. Isn't it nice when everyone gets along? We have to report this absurd situation to His Majesty. Both the upper-tier monsters in the northern forest and the Swordmaster who appeared out of nowhere. Lilia gave a contemptuous laugh. A mere murderer. Doesn't need to worry about such things. Amon immediately snapped at Lilia. That's too much. Lilia coldly cut him off. You have no right to say that. Weren't you the one saying Eileen Lasis needed to be taught a lesson? Why the change in tone now? Just because you went through one crisis together, you suddenly formed some sort of battlefield bond. She turned to Ferdinando. Lord Ferdinando, the guilty one is me, not Eileen Lasis. I was just too emotional. I didn't mean to say those things. Lilia sat back down and lowered her head. I got a little out of control. What I mean is, the report isn't the only thing we should be concerned about. Didn't you receive the Academy's notice? The three men all looked at her. The Duke of Ashley will be visiting Athena Academy as a guest lecturer. Lord Ferdinando's ex-lover's father, Duke Ashley, he's coming. Ferdinando's face darkened, and a complicated emotion flickered across his eyes. Eileen's room. Sunlight spilled in through the window. Eileen sat by the bed, restless. An unexpected visitor had come. Lady Ashley? Why did you come to see me? Lady Ashley sat across from her, smiling gently. I heard from Sir Mon. You offered to act as bait and saved us. I wanted to apologize to you in person. Eileen waved her hand lightly. You needn't go to such trouble. Eileen felt an inexplicable discomfort. This person makes me feel strangely uneasy. Lady Ashley insisted, no. Gratitude must be expressed face to face. Lady Ashley moved to Eileen's side and asked with concern, are you hurt anywhere else? I used divine power to heal the wounds the monsters gave you, but the rest I left to recover naturally. and she clasped her hands together, hesitating a little. I changed Miss Lacey's clothes myself. Eileen's eyes sharpened. She saw them. Lady Ashley immediately raised both hands, her smile sincere. I didn't tell anyone, and I won't speak of those scars in the future either. Eileen's hand was gently held. She stared at the other woman in shock. Lady Ashley's eyes were filled with pity. I don't know what you've been through, but it looks like you don't want anyone to know. Lady Ashley, do you really not hate me? Lady Ashley shook her head hard. How could I hate you? Eileen asked, confused. Didn't you date Lord Ferdinando? You broke up because of me. I assumed you would hate me, of course. Lady Ashley looked flustered. Tease, that part is true, but that doesn't mean I hate you, Miss Lacey. Eileen looked at her, her eyes full of confusion. Lady Ashley lowered her head. I'm sorry, Miss Lacey. I can't tell you anything right now. Some of it involves— Eileen looked at her quietly. Involves? Lady Ashley held Eileen's hand again. But there is one thing I can tell you for certain. I don't hate you, Miss Lacey. How could I hate my savior? Lady Ashley smiled. So, then, may I call you by your name? Eileen stared at her. Savior? I don't deserve that title. I couldn't even properly protect anyone. That was why, when Lady Ashley walked into my room, I became so flustered. Lady Ashley slowly walked to the bedside. Miss Lacey, I'm so glad you woke up. Eileen looked up at her, because I was facing a living person, someone I had never seen alive in my previous life. Eileen's lips moved slightly. You may call me by my name. Lady Ashley smiled radiantly. Wonderful. I'll come see you often. She held Eileen's hand and said solemnly, Please take care of me from now on as well. Night, Eileen. Yes. The unexpected meeting had taken up too much time. I couldn't skip any more classes, so I decided to go to the afternoon lesson. But Amon stopped her. Night, Eileen. Shouldn't you rest more? Then I ran into another unexpected situation. The surrounding knights whispered among themselves. Did you hear that? Sir Amon called her Night Eileen, and he even used an honorific. What's going on? Seriously, did the sun rise in the west? What are you doing? Eileen asked with a serious expression. I'm checking whether the sun rose in the west. Amon asked blankly. So, did it? Eileen replied. No, it rose as usual. That's not the point. Eileen stared at him. Sir, why are you here? Shouldn't you be in the advanced class? Why are you in the beginner class? I transferred. He looked straight at Eileen. To the beginner class. Eileen's eyes widened in shock. What does that mean? At the Sword Academy, according to tradition, promotion required completing a mission issued by the Emperor. The missions varied widely and were extremely dangerous, including monster subjugation, duels with veteran knights, and so on. Amon had once received one of the hardest missions. After a desperate struggle, he had successfully advanced to the advanced class. So why would he go through all the trouble of climbing up again? Amon casually spun his sword. I transferred because I wanted to. No need to make that face. His gaze lowered. I realized I was still lacking. Amon recalled that day. Blood splattered everywhere. Using the last of his strength, he roared, Go! Pain filled Amon's eyes. Abandoning a comrade feels terrible. He tightened his grip on his sword. I was so weak then. And yet that weak version of me had the nerve to tell you that you didn't understand honor. How arrogant those words were. The truly arrogant one was me. Eileen listened in silence as Amon stepped closer. I want to apologize to you. Since you don't want to talk about it, I won't ask. I'll keep the secret of what I saw. Amon looked straight at her. But there's one thing. Once your injuries heal, will you duel me? I know that look. It's the look of a knight who longs to grow stronger. The look of someone who wants to protect another person, even at the cost of their own life. A challenge from one knight to another. When he looked at me like that, I couldn't refuse. I can duel you right now. Amon looked at her. Are you sure? Eileen's gaze was unwavering. Yes. Don't hold back just because I'm injured. Because I won't hold back either. Amon curled his lips. That won't do. We almost had a camp out here. Let's go see Miss Eileen. That gloomy Miss Eileen seems to have lost the training grounds. Raymond grew thoughtful, then turned and started walking. That man was Duke Ashley, one of the Empire's only 3 Swordmasters. Wherever he went, piles of monsters were left behind. Commander of the Empire's First Knight Order. A man who had reached the very pinnacle. The idol and model of every knight. A knight reported to Duke Ashley. Most of them were high-level monsters as well. Are you saying Academy students repelled them? A passing Swordmaster dealt with them. Duke Ashley's eyes sharpened. He had heard he was assigned to investigate this monster subjugation, but had not expected to run into this matter here. Anger flared in Duke Ashley's eyes. A Swordmaster suddenly appeared, and then wiped them all out. Do you know what it means to become a Swordmaster? Do not speak so lightly of masters when you have not even touched the threshold of that realm. A dangerous aura spread from Duke Ashley. That power tempered not only the blade, but even the body itself. This pressure was something one had to witness in person to understand its terror. The adjutant was overwhelmed by the aura. Igriegagis understood. Duke Ashley withdrew his pressure and turned away. Duke Ashley glanced sideways. Did my aura overwhelm him? He's not one of the Academy students, but he looks familiar. The adjutant reminded him quietly. He's from the Laces family. Raymond, the Laces family, huh? In the past, the Marquis only kept Sir Kike at his side, so I didn't recognize him. But Lloyd seems to value that child quite a bit. A knight hurried over and saluted Duke Ashley. Sorry for being late. Duke, it's been a long time. Duke Ashley remained silent. He had heard that man was a high-ranking knight like himself, but he was still far too shallow in mere appearances. Duke Ashley suddenly asked, "Where's Eileen?" "At the training grounds." "Then let's go." Duke Ashley strode forward. It seemed he was going to see Miss Eileen, supposedly because of the investigation. More importantly, everyone said Duke Ashley only cared about people with talent and swordsmanship. Being judged like that did not feel good at all. What in the world is going on here? A stir ran through the crowd. Miss Eileen and Sir Amon. They look evenly matched. If you look carefully, they're not evenly matched at all. Eileen is completely at ease, while Sir Amon is clearly barely holding on. Eileen's eyes were focused. Just a simple thrust, a sidestep to evade. Then her blade sliced through the air with a deadly whistle. Eileen suddenly stepped in, her sword driving straight at her opponent. Sir Amon's eyes widened in shock. He barely managed to raise his sword to block. The two blades collided, sparks flying. Too fast. Sir Amon's pupils shrank sharply. Cold sweat slid down. Damn it. Eileen twisted her wrist, pressing the blade down with emotion. She copied my swordsmanship, my family's swordsmanship. Eileen remained calm, as if one glance had been enough to see through everything. She learned it just by watching once? How is that possible? Is she really a good-for-nothing? The crowd burst into exclamations. Sir Amon's sword flew from his hand. Eileen's blade stopped at his throat, precise to the slightest fraction. Unbelievable. Sir Amon lost to Eileen. I thought she only survived the monster subjugation by luck. How did you learn our family's swordsmanship? Eileen extended a hand and helped Sir Amon to his feet. Please treat me as you normally would. Duke Ashley's voice rang out over the training grounds. Oh, what remarkable talent. Arlen suddenly turned around. Duke Ashley had arrived. A stir ran through the crowd. When had Duke Ashley gotten here? Erin's pupils shrank. Her whole body stiffened in an instant. Why is he here? Erin, long time no see. Erin trembled all over as if struck by lightning. That voice. Sir Raymond. Someone she had once relied on so deeply. On that isolated island called the Lythus family, he had once been her only oasis. Someone who had once stood by my side. Someone I once thought I would trust to the very end. Sir Raymond. He walked in with a smile. I heard you were injured during the subjugation. It looks like it's nothing serious. That's a relief. Before he could finish, Erin sharply slapped his hand away. I must be covered in filth. Sir Raymond's voice echoed in the darkness. My lady asked me to pass on a message. Don't worry. Your family will soon come join you. The man who once killed me with his own hands. If only it hadn't been him. Sir Raymond's expression froze. Erin flashed a brilliant smile. Raymond, it's so good to see you again. Now I can finally avenge my death. Erin twisted her blade and knocked her opponent's weapon flying. The sword spun through the air before clattering to the ground. What the hell? She's this strong? Since when could she do that? Was it after joining the swordsmanship department? There hasn't been enough time. It's impossible. Could this be the Lythus family's gift? The gift Corellia was so wary of? Even so, she's far too strong. Does it really feel comfortable now like before? He closed his eyes. Yes, please do that. He smiled. To think Erin would make that expression. I am sweating. I probably smell. He looked at Sir Raymond with a smile. It's good to see you. Raymond, you haven't changed at all. Sir Raymond seemed about to say something, his lips moving slightly, but he was suddenly interrupted. Duke Ashley's voice rang out. Everyone, assemble. Continue the lesson. Erin turned away. I have to go. She took off without looking back. Her retreating figure was resolute, without even a trace of regret. Sir Raymond watched Erin walk away, his gaze complicated. Corellia had completely destroyed Erin in body and mind, taming her to suit his own tastes. If Corellia's role had been to break Erin's wings, then mine had been to play her savior. I pulled her up from the abyss of despair and became her only light. Sir Raymond knelt on one knee and bandaged Erin's ankle. Thank you for saving me. Raymond, The corpse of a black snake lay on the grass. I didn't even notice it approaching. Erin looked at him, a trace of gratitude in her eyes. If it weren't for you, the consequences would have been unthinkable. Sir Raymond looked up, a gentle smile on his lips. As he helped Erin up, he said, "Erin, you can be rather oblivious sometimes." Luckily, it wasn't a venomous snake. In the Marquis's estate, where there was nowhere to run, she became a thoroughly broken doll. The young lady of the Marquis family, crushed by endless abuse. Sir Raymond took her hand. "Can you walk?" An innocent girl who knew nothing would cling tightly to the faint warmth I offered her, seizing even the smallest shred of hope. She nodded. Sir Raymond supported Erin. "You're lighter than before. Have you lost weight?" Erin swayed a little. "Have I? You need to eat properly. At this rate, if you join the swordsmanship department, you won't even be able to lift a wooden sword." Erin lowered her head. "I understand." Watching her find a glimmer of light in despair had once amused me, and yet she dared to abandon me. Sir Raymond smiled. "I have to remind you who your savior really is." That night, in Ferdinando's office, Duke Ashley sat at the desk. That was astonishing talent. Precise judgment, restrained movements, and power, suppressing the opponent at exactly the right moment. I saw her when she was little. Back then she had no talent for swordsmanship at all. She was so frail it looked like she could barely stand. Children really do grow at a remarkable speed. Footsteps sounded. Ferdinando entered the office. "Duke Ashley." He stepped forward. "It's been a long time. How had you been?" Duke Ashley came back to himself. I was lost in thought." "Yes. Is the second prince doing well too?" Ferdinando smiled. "Please, don't be like that. Even if you're here on official business, this is still an informal setting. Please be at ease. You are my mother's dear friend. You've looked after me since I was young. Please address me as you always have." Duke Ashley fell silent for a moment. "Very well." Duke Ashley turned to Ferdinando. "Since we're on the subject, there's something I want to ask you." Ferdinando turned slightly. "Please." Duke Ashley spoke slowly. "At the banquet celebrating the Empire's victory in the Southern Mountains, without consulting me, you ended up staying by Erin Lathis' side, didn't you, Your Highness?" Then a blue aura rose around Duke Ashley. "I heard you had no choice but to get engaged to Erin Lathis because it was His Majesty the Emperor's order." Duke Ashley's gaze sharpened. "I also heard the Emperor gave additional orders." "Even so, you should not have done that." Duke Ashley was furious. A father who dotes on his daughter would cast aside the Empire's saintess and choose that wicked woman instead? Enough. The relationship between me and Ferdinando is merely contractual. It was to keep your surrounding factions in check. I obtained your consent beforehand as well. Since you already knew, why get angry now? Duke Ashley hurriedly explained, "Daughter, that's not what I meant. I just didn't want you to look like you'd been cast aside." "Cast aside? How have I become some tragic heroine?" He added calmly, "And please don't speak ill of Lady Erin. She is my friend." He smiled faintly. "Father, it seems you like Lady Erin as well. You saw her at the training grounds before coming here, and you saw how strong she is." Duke Ashley's expression turned serious. "That's right. She really is extraordinarily gifted." Ferdinando stood nearby. Duke Ashley turned to him. "So that's why you so readily accepted Erin Lathis' engagement. She showed you her talent, didn't she?" Ferdinando's gaze hardened. Duke Ashley's tone was oppressive. "I'm talking about your ability." Ferdinando's ability. A special power passed down only through the bloodline of Lection and the very foundation of the Lection royal family's influence. What the world knows is this: he can indiscriminately glimpse a target's past. Eyes that see through the truth. Ferdinando lowered his eyes. "Duke, you know this. My ability is not something I can control at will. It activates on its own, suddenly making me see other people's pasts." Duke Ashley pressed him. "So you mean you saw nothing?" Ferdinando replied, "I saw nothing related to swordsmanship talent." Duke Ashley's gaze sharpened. "Which means you saw something else." Ferdinando folded his hands, looking troubled. "About that, I can't say." Duke Ashley frowned. "This brat can't even tell me that much. Just what did he see?" He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. "Ferdinando, the Emperor has always been looking for a chance to crush you. I cannot help you directly. We Swordmasters have an unspoken rule. We do not interfere in royal affairs." Duke Ashley continued, "The Emperor may have allowed your engagement to the Empire's wicked woman for exactly that reason. If she makes a mistake, he can use it as an excuse to accuse you of failing to control her and shift the blame onto you." Ferdinando remained silent. He answered in a low voice, I understand. Duke Ashley leaned forward. Do you really? Sending me to investigate the monster subjugation report is practically forcing me to dig up your secrets with my own hands. That reminds me, what exactly happened? What's going on with this Swordmaster? No matter how you look at it, those monsters weren't enemies ordinary knights could handle. We had our doubts as well. They were slain before anyone could properly assess the situation. Duke Ashley fell into thought for a moment. He ought to investigate the other participants too. Could have been someone from the hunting party? Unfortunately, once someone reaches a certain realm, it becomes impossible to gauge each other's strength. Even face to face, you still can't. Be sure. A trace of interest flashed in Duke Ashley's eyes. I'd like to meet that hidden expert myself. He clenched his fist, and a meaningful smile appeared at the corner of his lips. I need to personally confirm that Swordmaster's true strength. Ferdinando looked at him, his eyes complicated. It was already late at night. Duke Ashley stood up. That's enough for today. He turned to leave. Ferdinando. Ferdinando stepped forward. Duke, please speak. Thank you for bringing my daughter back safely. Ferdinando bowed his head slightly. You should thank Lord Amon and Lady Erin. They were the ones who safely escorted the princess back. He turned and left, his footsteps echoing through the empty corridor. Ferdinando remained standing there alone, lost in thought. Duke Ashley's warning echoed in his ears. The Emperor may have allowed your engagement to the Empire's wicked woman for exactly that reason. Ferdinando clenched his fist. The Empire's wicked woman. Ferdinando turned around. His footsteps echoed through the empty hallway. Duke, regarding that matter, I do not know much. He looked out the window. Moonlight spilled across the courtyard. Erin Lai thus was leaning against a tree trunk, holding a gentle cat in her arms, her expression calm and soft. As for the matter of Lady Erin being a wicked woman, a few months earlier, Ferdinando Election, the Empire's second prince, stepped into the hall. Though born for political purposes, he was naturally kind, broad-minded, and benevolent. Two ladies whispered to each other. He truly is a prince in every sense. More than anyone else bearing the title, he looks like a real prince. Ferdinando strode through the crowd. If anything had changed recently, it was this. Ferdinando and Princess Ashley had known each other since childhood. They were very close. Your Highness. She approached slowly in white. Ferdinando gazed at her, a smile rising to his lips. The meeting of a prince and a saintess stirred people's curiosity and fueled romantic fantasies. They became the perfect couple of everyone's dreams. The door slammed shut. The two of them instantly dropped the act, standing back to back. Both looked disgusted. So annoying. Why were so many people staring at us? My face is about to freeze from smiling. Why did you open the door so slowly? Hurry up. Ferdinando turned around angrily. You were the one walking too slowly. Worry about your own expression. What? The two glared at each other as if they might start fighting any second. These longtime rivals had secretly signed a contract. For months, they had been pretending to be a public couple. They made that choice because of the royal power struggle and their own personal circumstances. The Emperor favored the first prince, born of his legal wife, over the second prince, Ferdinando. As a result, Ferdinando stood in complete opposition to the first prince. He lacked noble support in the empire and was at a disadvantage politically. Princess Ashley was Duke Ashley's only daughter and possessed the power of a saintess. Her father was a swordmaster, but like him, she had no interest in power. They were an open secret in the empire. Having known each other since childhood, they understood one another better than anyone. Ferdinando needed a shield to solidify his position, and the princess believed only Ferdinando could restrain the recklessness of the emperor and the first prince. Therefore, the choice they made was a contractual relationship. Princess Ashley collapsed onto the sofa and let out a long sigh. They asked while already knowing the answer. It's exhausting. Maintaining the saintess image in public is exhausting enough, and then I also have to play the role of a loving partner. Ferdinando stood in the middle of the room. If you say the word, I can tear up the contract at any time. Princess Ashley looked up at him. Tear up the contract? Are you confident you'd survive? Ferdinando fell silent. I can't deny that, but what if it gets you killed instead? Being tied to me will put your safety at risk as well. Princess Ashley looked directly at him. And what would you gain from that? With or without the contract, people die eventually. I didn't sign it to save your life. I signed it as a saintess because it was the best choice for the empire. Ferdinando heard that and curled his lip in a cold smile. How very fitting for your highness. You should worry about yourself first. Steam rose from the teacup. I heard about your marriage arrangement. with Lady Lythus. The banquet hall was buzzing with noise. A noblewoman approached. "Your Highness the Second Prince, we haven't seen you at banquets in such a long time." Ferdinando stood beside her. "Yes, I've been occupied with my studies and haven't been able to greet everyone." The lady continued, "But is that rumor true? I heard you're getting engaged to Lady Lythus." Ferdinando froze at her words. He recalled the Emperor's voice. "You know people are talking about your marriage, don't you? The daughter of House Lythus. She would be an excellent assistant to you. Go to the banquet this time. At the very least, get to know the young lady." Ferdinando fell silent. Suddenly, he turned around. His blonde hair traced an arc under the lights. His eyes were icy cold. His gaze passed through the crowd and landed on a figure. Clear footsteps rang out. Holding up the hem of her dress, Erin slowly entered the hall. The moment she appeared, the noisy banquet hall fell silent. Every eye turned to her. Whispers rose among the crowd. "It's Erin Lythus, that villainous lady. Why would she come to a banquet?" The guests murmured among themselves. "So the rumor is true. She really is going to get engaged to the Second Prince. How could this happen? The Second Prince and the Saintess are so well matched. Yet he has to get engaged to a woman like that. I truly feel sorry for the Second Prince." Erin stood there, ignoring all the gossip around her. Then she suddenly turned and walked away. Ferdinando watched her, his expression complicated. He picked up a slice of strawberry cake and held it out to Erin. "Have you eaten? It doesn't look like you've touched a single bite." Erin looked at the cake, startled. Ferdinando." A clang rang out as something hit the nearby table. He covered his face with his hand. This feeling, he staggered backward. The banquet hall around him twisted in an instant, turning into a strange darkness. Ferdinando looked around. "Where am I? A room? Whose?" He felt a power surge inside him. "Why is my ability?" Then a figure curled up in the corner caught his attention. That person was trembling all over, as if enduring immense pain. "Lady Lythus. I can't see Lady Lythus right now." Then this must be her room. But why is she crying so desperately? "She's crying, just like I did when I was little." A voice pulled him back to reality. "Your Highness the Second Prince." Ferdinando jolted awake and found himself still standing in the banquet hall. Erin looked at him with concern. "Are you all right?" Your face suddenly turned very pale. Ferdinando steadied himself. "Yes, I'm Euphine. I'm back to normal now." He brushed a hand over his forehead, trying to calm his breathing. But what he had just seen, that was no illusion. Then what was it? The guests whispered. "Did you see the Second Prince's expression just now? What on earth did that woman say to him? What a wicked woman. His Highness kindly brought her cake, and she still said something like that. His heart was broken, wasn't it?" She turned her back to Ferdinando. "Excuse me, I need to go freshen up my makeup." Ferdinando watched her back, his eyes darkening. The way she fled overlapped with the image in his memory of that shivering, sobbing figure. Ferdinando abruptly turned and followed her. "Thank you for your concern. Lady Lythus, you must have been startled. I just felt a bit dizzy all of a sudden. Thanks to you, I'm much better now. Please don't worry." Erin looked at him. Why is he suddenly shouting like this? He placed the strawberry cake back into Erin's hands. Ferdinando gave her a perfect smile. "Be sure to eat something." Erin accepted the cake. "Thank you, Your Highness. Your Highness the Second Prince." Night fell. Ferdinando's office. He took off his coat and draped it casually over the back of a chair. Phew, banquets really are exhausting after so long. He recalled Erin's expression when she left. That face had looked completely shattered. I had never seen such heartbreak on her face before. There were many daughters in the Lythus family. Nicknames followed her. The Wicked Woman of the Century, the Disgrace of House Asteron, the Empire's Only Witch. It was as if she had been born to bear every bit of criticism in the world. Cruel stories clung to her like shadows, never stopping. Yet despite all those rumors, not once, not even once, had I seen her make trouble at a banquet. She hardly attended to begin with, and even when she did, she would sit quietly in a corner for a while and then leave. She left early today, too. There was a lot of cake left on the plate. Does she dislike cake? Or does she just eat very little? Wait, why do I care about something like that? His gaze swept over the letters on the desk. Ferdinando looked at the letter. "She is an excellent marriage prospect for you. Go to the banquet and meet the young lady." "You vulgar old man. I already have enough problems of my own." He let out a scornful laugh. "Why do I have to worry about someone else?" Ferdinando's gaze drifted toward the window. Erin was sitting alone beneath a tree, holding a cat and gently stroking it. Ferdinando suddenly rose to his feet. He couldn't believe his eyes. Miss Witch? At that moment, she looked peaceful and gentle. Ferdinando was utterly stunned. "Erin, pressed her cheek against the kitten. The cat narrowed its eyes in comfort. A tranquility he had never seen before appeared on her face. Ferdinando's eyes turned cold. In the eyes of the world, I am flawless, the Empire's spotless second prince. But reality is nothing like that. Another voice sounded, a voice full of disgust. From head to toe, you resemble that woman. There isn't a single part of you I like. I never should have taken that woman, that lowly concubine of Lection. The noble royal blood has been utterly sullied in you. A vulgar half-blood brat. My mother, she was a saintess of the holy nation who served the goddess. Until her death from illness, she remained the goddess's apostle, able to hear divine will and foresee the future. And my father trampled the holy nation underfoot, took my mother as a concubine, and turned the holy nation into a vassal of the empire. I was born amid humiliation and hatred. My father had never once been pleased by my existence. To a father who worshipped royal blood, I was nothing but a creature that had tainted that bloodline. If he discovered that I had inherited even the slightest trace of the Bales family's power, he would kill me on the spot. My father always wished for my death. My half-siblings hated me just the same. For someone like me, who could be attacked at any time, worrying about others is utterly foolish. And yet, for some reason, I kept seeing a different side of her. Ferdinando fell into thought. Last night, it seems I saw something I shouldn't have. That cat was a stray, commonly seen around the academy. It had been very skinny when I first saw it. Now, even from a distance, it looked healthy. Has Lady Erin been taking care of it all this time? Ferdinando, what are you spacing out about? Derek's voice pulled him back to reality. He snapped back. Class is over. You've been acting strange today. Did something happen at yesterday's banquet? Did you fight with that lady again? If not, Derek lowered his voice and leaned closer to Ferdinando. Did that person say something nasty to you? Not even Derek, my future knights, knew that Lady Erin and I were in a contractual relationship. They also knew nothing of the filth inside the imperial royal family, or how my father treated me. I knew exactly how thoroughly all of it had been concealed. Ferdinando avoided Derek's gaze. Nothing happened at the banquet. Derek looked unconvinced. Impossible. I heard her mother was there too. That vicious woman who would stop at nothing to make you get engaged. And you still say nothing happened? Really, nothing happened, and she might not be as bad as the rumors say. You know how the noble world is. Gossip piles up until it could build a castle. Derek argued back. No matter what, a sandcastle always collapses before the truth. Think about it. How could a decent person carry such an awful reputation for nearly 10 years? Everything has a cause. Ferdinando's expression grew complicated. It's hard for me to believe. Because through the window, Ferdinando was staring at a certain figure in the courtyard. Today, May the 8th time, Erin was crouched on the ground, gently petting a stray cat. I kept seeing unexpected sides of her. Rumor had it she came every day, 3 times a day, at dawn, in the afternoon, and at dusk to feed the cat. Ferdinando started walking in that direction. The place where she fed the cat was right behind my dormitory. My dorm was in the old building. Students living in the new building never came here. So as long as I circled behind the building, Ferdinando brushed past his companions. He politely greeted them. Hello. You almost never ran into anyone here. As long as he moved discreetly, it would be hard for anyone to notice. Erin hugged her books and hurried across the grass. Sunlight cast a long shadow behind her. A secret about her that only I knew. Ferdinando returned to the dormitory. A servant hurried over. Your Highness the Second Prince. A letter has arrived from the palace. A wax-sealed letter was held out. Ferdinando accepted it. His expression turned grave. He tore the seal, unfolded the paper, and his eyes swept across the words. Ferdinando crumpled the letter into a ball. A flash of ruthlessness crossed his eyes, as if he wanted to crush the paper itself. Leaning against the doorframe, he slowly slid down to the floor. He let out a long breath. The suffocating days kept repeating, as if climbing endless mountains. When would all of this finally end? And what would be left at the very end? Beneath the tree's shade, the well-fed cat yawned and stretched lazily. I had vaguely been waiting for her silhouette. Night fell. The stars glittered brightly. Erin came hurrying over. She crouched down. Sorry, I'm late. She set down a bowl of food in front of the cat. The cat immediately buried its face in it and began to eat. Erin brushed aside the loose hair on her forehead, her eyes shining with a gentle light. I nearly ran into someone on the way, so I had to take the long route. To make up for it, I'll stay with you a little longer today. From the window, Ferdinando watched the scene, the corners of his lips unconsciously lifting. For some reason, it made it feel easier for him to breathe. Thunder roared. Under the pouring rain, Ferdinando hurried toward the courtyard with an umbrella. Erin was drenched through, kneeling in the muddy grass. Until one day, she lost her smile. I don't know what happened. The thunder woke me. Suddenly, I remembered the cat. When I saw her with the cat, I ran out at once. But by the time I went outside, Erin thus had already left. Ferdinando searched for her in the rain, following the traces until he finally found her. But everything was already too late. A month later, Derek called out to his companion in the hallway. "Hey, Ferdinando." Ferdinando turned and replied, "Good morning." Derek. Everything had returned to normal. Ferdinando no longer had the habit of gazing out the window. Since then, he had never seen Erin thus again. That was only natural. She and I belonged to completely different worlds. If she hadn't come to the dormitory of her own accord, we would never have crossed paths at all. Whispers rose in the corridor. "Hey, did you hear? Prince Ferdinando is finally getting engaged to Erin thus." No way. So is he breaking up with Miss Ashley? Poor Prince Ferdinando. Of all people, it had to be Erin thus, the murderer who killed Lilia's brother. A book flew at the boy. The boy flared up in anger. "What this looks fun. Can we join in too?" Prince Ferdinando. Derek roared. "Hey, pick up the book and get lost. They used to praise your good looks, and now they can't wait to see you miserable." Ferdinando pressed a hand to Derek's shoulder. "This is hardly anything new. Don't get angry over something so trivial. Doesn't it make you angry?" "Derek, why do you follow me?" Lady Erin Lathus's infamy remained unchanged, while I continued to play the flawless prince. But I knew the truth. Appearances are not everything. In the royal family's eyes, I am just a beautiful shell. Misfortune always befalls those who like me and choose to follow me. They have no choice. Either leave me or suffer by my side. You know that. My father's pressure will never stop. If this goes on, you'll... Ferdinando. Derek pressed him. "Do I need a reason to follow you?" If I had to give one, I guess it's because my ambition is too great. My swordsmanship is plain for all to see. The only thing you might beat me in is academics. Derek leaned closer to Ferdinando. Pain is part of everything. After all, if suffering is unavoidable no matter what, then isn't it better to follow someone I admire? A bright smile spread across his face. Ferdinando let out a quiet laugh. He bent over, bursting into laughter. "Seriously, all of you are insane." Derek put his hands on his hips. "Hey, I'm way better than that lazy bum Erin." Their laughter echoed through the hallway. The reason I still hadn't approached Lady Erin thus was because I had a premonition that even greater misfortune would befall her. So for the first time, I was grateful to my father. Grateful that he personally turned her into my fiancée. After the engagement, she transferred into the swordsmanship department. That was our first meeting. She seemed a little different. For some reason, she carried a different sort of aura. I want to know more about her. Lady thus. Lady Erin. A flicker of alarm crossed Erin Lathus's eyes. Derek, meanwhile, looked wary. "Since we're now formally engaged, I should address you that way." Ferdinando smiled as he extended a hand toward Erin thus. "It's been a long time. From now on, I will stop avoiding things." The Erin I knew had never harmed anyone. If anything, she seemed to deliberately avoid others. Ferdinando gazed into the distance. As for the rumor that she killed Calypso, it couldn't possibly be true. What kind of person was this girl who had been branded a witch? My eyes kept chasing after her without even meaning to. The guards around her were impenetrable. Ferdinando touched his forehead lightly. "Is there any way I can get closer to her?" About 2 months later, Erin thus and Ferdinando met in the courtyard. "Thank you for taking the time to see me." "Lord Ferdinando." Erin thus clasped her hands in front of her. "I heard from Lady Ashley that you are about to take on a new mission. He has been coming to my room often lately. This feeling seems strangely familiar." "I see, but what kind of mission is it?" "Wait, could this be an opportunity? It seems I will be joining this mission as well. So about that." She looked directly at Ferdinando. "I want to know whether you would be willing to carry out this mission with me." A trace of confusion flashed through Ferdinando's eyes. Raymond watched from behind a wall. What on earth are they talking about? They're too far away. I can't hear their conversation. He had been observing Erin thus for days. Her swordsmanship was indeed excellent. That meant, just as Corelia had said, avoiding injury would be difficult. Soon, the Emperor would order the second Prince Ferdinando to lead a force to exterminate the werewolf tribe. Duke thus and his future knights would surely be sent out as well. Count Leon would join later, and he would provide no real support. This would be Ferdinando's downfall. I can hardly wait. Once the second prince dies, she'll blame herself for everything. She'll think it all started going wrong after she got engaged to him. In any case, they're in the same position. A passing swordmaster. Let's see whether such good fortune will bless them again. All I need to think about is how to deal with Aaron. Fine then. Under the pretense of protection, I'll accompany this mission. Before we enter werewolf territory, I'll find a way to get Aaron alone. Someone will deliberately lure Aaron into the water. I'll save her from it. Then I'll begin re-educating her. In the process, she'll inevitably lose an arm. Don't blame me, my lady. This is all your own doing. Moonlight flooded the camp. Some knights gathered around the campfire, others stretched. Before preparing to rest, Amon gently stroked his horse, then picked up a bucket of water and walked toward the center of camp. The knights all looked over. What are you doing? Aren't you going to set up camp yet? Derek frowned. No matter how you look at it, it's weird. What's weird about those two? They're sitting together as an engaged couple. What's strange about that? Derek raised his voice in protest. Yes, it's very strange. A few days earlier, by the Emperor's command, we had set out once more. Hooves pounded across the grassy plain as the group advanced into the distance. Our mission was to subjugate the werewolves. Beneath the blood moon, the werewolves roared, wielding sharp blades, while the refugees they had captured cowered, trembling in the dark. Werewolves are intelligent magical beasts, powerful and extremely aggressive. The trainee knight corps was not enough to handle them. Therefore, His Majesty had sent only one swordmaster of the Empire, Edward Frolon, Count Leon, and his knight order to reinforce us. We were on our way to meet up with Count Leon. Derek's expression was complicated. I didn't expect us to be assigned a mission so suddenly, but I really can't get used to those two sticking together. Karen muttered under his breath. They've been together ever since we left. They don't even seem to have anything to talk about. If they have nothing to say, why stay together? Why? Karen gritted his teeth. There's some weird sense of distance between them. It's irritating. At least Miss Ashley didn't come, right? Miss didn't join this mission, did she? No, she didn't. Lilia's gaze fell on them. Then what's the reason they're stuck to each other? She turned to Derek. You must have heard something, right? Derek looked away. I don't know either. Before the mission, Aaron had gone to see Ferdinando. Mr. Ferdinando, I need to speak with you privately. Ever since that conversation, they'd had no choice but to remain together. Amon's gaze also landed on them. Together, Raymond strode toward his own tent. The sight of Raymond's face was tense in the night. It really is strange. Amon turned to Karen. You said Sir Raymond joined this mission as Aaron's guard, right? Karen answered firmly. Yes. Sir Ferdinando agreed to it too. He said it was fine if it was for my sister's sake. Amon pressed further. Then has Sir Raymond protected her since childhood? Karen thought back. They were always close whenever necessary. Amon leaned toward him. Close? Karen nodded. Yes. You call that close? Hey, they're moving. Aaron and Ferdinando stood up and left the campfire side by side. At this hour? Where are they going? Let's follow them and see. Amon hurriedly grabbed the other two. Where do you think you're going? We need to prepare the camp. Where are you trying to sneak off to? Derek struggled. What? I'm doing this for your sake, my lord. Let go of me, Sir Raymond. Lilia watched coldly as the knights were dragged away. The two of them stopped walking. Fireflies drifted around them. I had practiced this in my head dozens of times, maybe even hundreds. In the past, I always thought over these words and prepared them again and again, yet never managed to say them. But now I gathered my courage. Mr. Ferdinando, I want to break off our engagement. Ferdinando froze. Break off the engagement? Ferdinando was in disbelief. Why are you saying this all of a sudden? Aaron remained calm. There is no need for you to maintain an engagement you do not want. I don't want it either. Ferdinando's eyes darkened. Don't want it? He took a step toward her. Lady Aaron, then why did you get engaged to me in the first place? Aaron averted her eyes. You know what kind of person I am. It was nothing more than a passing whim. She turned to leave. Since I've said what I came to say, I'll take my leave now. Wait, Aaron. Ferdinando remained where he was, staring at Aaron's departing back. What was that supposed to mean? The night sky was quiet, the stars glittering. My engagement to Sir Ferdinando was forced on me by my stepmother. It had nothing to do with my feelings for him. Because of his engagement to me, he was forced apart from the woman he loved. But they never resented me, not even once. Neither in the past nor now have they ever resented me. In the past, I feared my stepmother and dragged Sir Ferdinando into the mud as well. But this time, I absolutely must not keep clinging to him. Aaron stopped walking. What are you doing here? I'm talking to you. A chill entered Aaron's eyes. Why are you skulking around like a rat, spying on me and Sir Ferdinando? Raymond. Raymond jolted. His heart tightened. I had concealed my presence perfectly. How did Lady Aaron notice me? I had never felt anything like this in my life. Killing intent. No, it was more than that. It felt as though I were staring straight into the gates of hell. Where was that pressure coming from? It couldn't possibly be Aaron, who had only just started learning the sword. And yet, aside from me and Aaron, there was no one else around. For a master of such caliber to exist without a sound was absurd. Aaron broke the silence. I still haven't heard your answer. Eileen's eyes turned ice cold. Answer me. Why were you spying on me and Sir Fernando? Raymond hurriedly bowed his head. You've misunderstood. I only followed because I was worried about you. You left alone with him. Even if he's your fiancé, going this deep into the woods at night is dangerous. Aileen replied expressionlessly, worried about me? To me. Right now, you're the more dangerous one. Raymond tightened his grip on his sword hilt. I had my hand on my sword the whole time. I didn't even realize he'd already sheathed his. I'm sorry, but Lady Aileen, why are you speaking so harshly? You're frightening me. Did I do something wrong? Is it because I followed you? Raymond explained, I was only worried about you, Aileen. You're too careless. You trust people too easily. I was afraid something would happen to you. Sir Ferdinando may have a good reputation, but don't trust him too much. You've only just met him. He's not like me. You should be careful. Don't place your trust in Fernando. Trust yourself. Raymond had once been like rain in a desert to me. In my dried-up life of abuse, he gave me the faint will to keep living. I trusted him. I was always grateful to him, until I discovered that from the very beginning, it had all been a lie. No matter how many times I repeated my life, I could never forget the look on his face before I died. That smiling face. He killed me under orders, and there wasn't a shred of sorrow or guilt on it, as if he had been waiting for that moment all along. That relieved expression. Why? Were you tired of me? I never wronged you. Eileen's voice was colder than ice. When a sword pierces flesh, it hurts. Sometimes you don't die right away. You only tremble in agony while waiting for the end. Raymond's face turned pale. This is strange. Something's wrong. Why is Aileen so hostile toward me? He tried to ease the tension. Lady Aileen, let's go back first. He forced a smile. It's late. Everyone will be worried. Let's return to camp and talk there. Aileen lowered her eyes. All right, you startled me just now. A trace of mockery entered Raymond's smile. Aileen actually looked at me like that. I almost thought she had hit her head. Honestly, Crellia went too far. He should loosen his grip on her. That's why she's become so strange. For the past 2 months, Raymond had been watching Aileen. She often seemed like a completely different person from before. That gentle, easy-to-bully look in her eyes was gone. In its place was a look of contempt, but he didn't think much of it. Her body was already ruined. Even if she started training with the sword now, at best, she could only become an upper-rank knight. Maybe it would be better if she had an accident. If one of her wrists were crippled, that would be even better. No matter how much she changed, she was still that naive, foolish Aileen. A flicker of disdain crossed Raymond's eyes. That would make it even more fun. He followed behind Aileen, walking along the moonlit water's edge. The more she resisted, the more enjoyable destroying her would be. A twisted smile spread across Raymond's face. When was it again? I can't remember the exact date. But once in the past, I walked along a path like this with Raymond. Back then, I was suddenly attacked and shoved into the water. Raymond jumped in without hesitation to save me. My lady, are you all right? He shouted in frustration. Damn it, I should have caught that bastard. After that, I lived in fear of being hunted, and people's distrust of me only grew worse. But now I understand. There had never been an attacker that day. Just like now, it was Raymond who pushed me. Eileen's voice was icy. Raymond, do you really think I'll obediently go back to camp? Do you remember what I told you when we met again at the academy? You're dangerous. Raymond's face went deathly white. Why you? Aileen swung her sword. A flash split the night, and a scream rang out across the water. Raymond collapsed to the ground. Aileen looked down at him. You really haven't changed at all. That's wonderful. Raymond gasped in pain. Eileen's voice echoed under the moonlight. Otherwise, I might have given you a chance to be forgiven. Raymond's thoughts spiraled into chaos. What is happening right now? My plan was to shove Aileen into the water and teach her a lesson for that arrogant attitude. So why'd it turn out like this? Aileen clamped a hand over his mouth. What were you planning to do to me? Her cold voice drilled into his ears. Pushing me into the water wasn't your only plan, was it? Why? Did the Marchioness order you to stop me from learning the sword? In that instant, he finally understood the sensation he'd felt. It was the fear of facing death. Aileen had been hiding her strength. But how was that possible? Raymond trembled all over. He had to do something. Otherwise, he would die here and now. He would be killed by Aileen herself. Any chance of winning her heart was gone. Raymond forced a twisted smile. It was Crellia's order. And no, Lady Aileen. He told me that if you could use a sword, then I had to make sure you could never use one again. Raymond dropped to his knees, his voice choking with tears. I was only following orders. It wasn't what I wanted. You've known me for so long. Please believe me. A smile tugged at the corner of his lips. Poor daughter of the Marquis. Never loved a day in her life. That's her, isn't it? The eldest daughter of House Marquis. I heard she drove away all the maids herself. Don't even mention it. I told my children never to associate with her. More than being loved, she had grown used to longing for love. I never did anything like that. I swear. Please believe me. The more she yearned for attention and affection, the more people ignored her. A child starved of love will be grateful for even the slightest bit of attention, because I was her only connection to the outside world. Aileen looked down at him, her gaze frigid. Raymond, today you will die by my hand. The smile froze on Raymond's face. Why? I told you it was Crelia, she spoke slowly. From the moment we met again at the academy, all of this was part of my plan. Otherwise, why do you think I let you follow me here? Besides, I know your whole plan. You were going to push me into the water, then pull me out to win my favor, all while claiming you were the only one who truly cared about me. Raymond gaped at her in shock. He hurriedly tried to explain. And no, you've got it wrong. That was Crelia's order too. He told me to throw you into the water. Aileen stared at him expressionlessly. Raymond, he forced out a smile. I'm unarmed now. That means I've surrendered. Harming someone who has surrendered is not what a knight does. Don't you believe that murderers fall into hell? If you do this, you will fall into hell. Aileen looked down at him. You're right. Raymond, both then and now, I believe in heaven and hell. In my first life, I naively believed that if I lived kindly, I would go to heaven. I'll behave. I promise I'll listen to Mother. I won't hate anyone. I'll be good. So please, let me see my little brother again in heaven. That naive girl struggled until the very end not to hate anyone. I begged you to. I clung to your feet and begged you to let me live. Even though that miserable life was hell, I still wanted to live. But you never listened. Raymond stared blankly. What are you talking about? Aileen raised her sword. Its blade reflected his hollow eyes. I'll never see my brother again. The sword flashed, and blood burst forth. Aileen murmured softly, go on ahead. Wait for me in hell. She stood beside the corpse as blood dripped from the tip of her sword. When everything is over, I'll see you in hell. This is bad. Ferdinando burst out from the forest. Good heavens, where did you go? You were gone too long. I was just about to go look for you. She's gone. Derek froze. Gone? Who? Ferdinando clenched his teeth. Lady Aileen has disappeared. What? She was just with me a moment ago. Then she suddenly said she'd head back first and vanished without a trace. What's going on? It sounds like someone is missing. Ferdinando looked frantic. I've searched the entire area, but I can't find her. Wake everyone up. We have to find Lady Aileen immediately. Derek grabbed his shoulder. Ferdinando, calm down. You're too worked up. Calm down. Didn't you hear me? Lady Aileen is missing. I'm here, Sir Ferdinando. Lady Aileen? When did you get back? Aileen emerged from the tent. I told him I'd return first. I came straight back to camp. Ferdinando let out a breath of relief. Thank heavens. I thought you had. Run off by yourself again like last time? Don't worry about me. I'm not going anywhere. Were you arguing? What's going on? You heard her. She's not going anywhere. Now that that's settled, go inside. Since you're back, we should all get some rest too. You should all go to sleep. It had been the same in the past. Sir Ferdinando had worried about me like this before too. Ferdinando looked at her steadily. No matter what anyone says, I won't believe it, Calypso. You're not the kind of person who would take an innocent life. At least, the Aileen I know isn't. If you don't want to tell me what happened to you, that's fine. But if the day comes when you're ready. Ferdinando took her hand. I'll stay by your side. I'll help you. But I never told him anything. He's no longer alive. You'll never be loved in your life. I don't know what changed in you, but you can never go back now. You're a murderer now. I don't care. Even if Sir Ferdinando despises me, it doesn't matter. Even if I become heartless and people call me a wicked woman, it doesn't matter. I'm used to being hated. But if anyone threatens Sir Ferdinando and the knights, I will gladly become a demon. Aileen turned around. Karen answered softly. Have you seen Sir Raymond? No, I haven't. We're leaving soon. So where did he go? His tent is empty. His horse is gone too. What's going on? Ferdinando looked grave. Sir Raymond is missing? Yes. I just checked his tent. His luggage and horse are gone. Maybe he went ahead and returned to the Caesar Marquis without the commander's permission. Is that common? Karen shook his head. Not really. Ferdinando turned to Aileen. Did you hear anything? For example, some urgent matter he had to deal with? Aileen shook her head. I don't know. I barely spoke to him. Let's go. Sir Raymond is an upper-rank knight, right? Do you really think anything happened to an upper-rank knight? There aren't even low-level monsters around here. Honestly, this is better. The way he acted and the way he looked at people always made me uncomfortable. Even aside from his behavior, people from the Lathers family aren't easy to trust. Someone who could do that to the body of a noble young lady was probably not an outsider, but someone from inside the house. Besides that, Amon looked at Karen. He had neither the ability nor the cruelty for it. Anyway, if his belongings were still there, we might suspect an accident. But since everything's gone, he must have returned to his territory, and the meeting schedule is too tight. Ferdinando nodded. Yes, we're short on time. Once we leave the safe zone, monsters will appear. Losing one upper-rank knight is a huge loss in strength, but searching for him would weaken us too. If neither of you objects, shall we continue forward? Karen nodded. If Sir Ferdinando has decided, I will follow. I can't say I'm not worried, but the mission comes first. I have no objections either. Good. Then we leave as planned. Ferdinando ordered everyone to prepare to move. Yes, sir. The knights answered in unison. Aileen let out a breath of relief. I was worried they'd dig deeper, but thankfully I got through it safely. Ferdinando took Eileen's bundle. He naturally slung it over his own shoulder. Ferdinando glanced sideways at her, his gaze gentle. Will you ride with me again today? Aileen hesitated. I was thinking of switching places with Sir Derek. Ride with me. Ferdinando's tone allowed no argument. You asked me to stay by your side the whole way, Lady Aileen. He strode ahead, leaving Aileen standing there alone, stunned. The long march began. After leaving the safe zone, they fought monsters great and small. The closer they drew to werewolf territory, the fewer signs of people there were. Worse, the weather suddenly turned and heavy rain poured down. Ferdinando shouted through the rain, there's an up ahead, just a little farther. Even well-trained knights could not help but feel utterly exhausted. Rain lashed against the inn sign. We're finally eating a proper meal. It's been 10 days. The knights wolfed down their food. I am exhausted. Aileen nodded. I agree, Sermon. Everyone is tired. We go into the mountains tomorrow, and we'll have to leave the horses behind. Can we really do this? I didn't take part in the last campaign against the werewolves. I have no idea what they went through. All I know is that Ferdinando returned gravely wounded, and everyone who came back from that expedition refused to speak about what happened there. Even if I wanted to ask, I couldn't bring myself to ask those who had actually lived through it. Aileen let out a quiet sigh. Amon looked at her. Are you all right? On the way here, every spare moment you had, you were sparring with the Knights of House Philip, weren't you? Images of the sparring flashed through Eileen's mind. The knights had shouted as they swung their swords. Today, I'll definitely beat you. You're that strong, yet your stamina is surprisingly weak. What a contradiction. You should take care of yourself. Aileen looked a little surprised. Are you worried about me? I never expected to see this side of you, Sir Amon. Amon laughed lightly. Don't get used to it. This is rare. When people are tired, all sorts of things come out of their mouths. Aileen nodded. That makes sense. In any case, conserve your strength. Once we enter werewolf territory, nobody knows what will happen. Isn't this mission itself just another way for the Emperor to torment Ferdinando? So anything could happen. He was always forced to shoulder missions far beyond his limits. Sir Amon looked serious. I should remember his advice. Aileen suddenly felt a chill, and the wine glass beside her slipped from her hand. The door swung open. Several people, soaked through, walked in. What rotten luck. I only want to check on the horses and nearly drowned. Amon looked at Aileen. Are you all right? Aileen replied softly. You've asked me that a lot today. I will break off the engagement. Ferdinando was dripping wet, rainwater sliding down his face. His eyes were filled with confusion. Derek patted Ferdinando on the shoulder. Why are you spacing out? Let's eat and then get some rest. Hey, Amon, you've got it pretty good all by yourself. Amon joked. You lost at rock, paper, scissors. Garen Grund. I am starving. Ferdinando took a deep breath. Don't overthink it. Just focus on bringing everyone back safely. Ferdinando, hurry up. I'm coming. Ferdinando looked around. Come to think of it, Lilia isn't here. Does anyone know where she went? The knights looked at each other. No one answered. A blue magic circle unfolded in the rain, shining brilliantly. Lilia stood in the center of it. Rain soaked her silver hair. She raised her head, and a hint of resolve flashed in her eyes. Are you Calypso's younger sister? I am a maid from the Lathers family. I regret to inform you of terrible news. My lady told me to give you this. She said it was for the funeral. Lilia opened the cloth bag. Inside were a few gold coins. Madam said this all happened because he failed to stop her daughter. Lilia's pupils shrank, and fury surged through her. A single coin gleamed with a cold light. A human life had been taken so cheaply. He killed my brother and still smiled. The knights in the tavern raised their cups in celebration, their laughter grating on her ears. Lilia closed her eyes. Laugh while you still can. A man in a black robe appeared before her. Do you still want revenge on Calypso? I have a way. The fire of vengeance flared in Lilia's eyes. Soon, you won't be laughing anymore. A week later, the knights passed through a stretch of ruins. Derek let out a breath. We're finally here. Good thing I wasn't late. Since the road was mountainous, I had to leave the horses behind. Ferdinando turned to Derek and gave an order. Derek, have everyone rest until the appointed time. Derek nodded. Understood. Night fell, and the forest sank into silence. Leaning against a tree trunk, Ferdinando frowned. Something's wrong. Count Leon hasn't arrived yet. Derek approached him. Ferdinando, it's already past the agreed time. He's never late. Ferdinando let out a cold breath. It looks like Count Leon isn't coming. Someone who would go through fire and water for His Majesty's orders came here under Imperial command. There's no way he simply wouldn't come. Something must have happened. Then what do we do? Derek pressed. Ferdinando. Ferdinando answered without hesitation, of course we go back. We can't deal with the Wolf clan with only our force. Derek sighed. I knew you'd say that. He looked straight at Ferdinando. I understand your position, but I oppose returning empty-handed. At least send a search party to scout the area. We're already in Wolf territory. We need to make it look like we investigated. He lowered his voice. There may be one of His Majesty's informants among the knights. If we return empty-handed, you'll be the one to bear the consequences. Ferdinando's gaze sharpened. So Derek also suspects a spy. He understood what Derek meant. If we go back like this, Father won't just hold me responsible. Even a knight order won't escape punishment. In the end, he gave the order. Derek, send one search team out. A slight smile appeared on Derek's face. Understood. A calculating glint flashed in Ferdinando's eyes. But on one condition. From the shadows, Aileen watched Ferdinando and Derek. Their conversation was so quiet that no one else could hear it, but it could not escape my ears. That sharp hearing was proof of the Wolf bloodline. Ferdinando turned to face the knights. The search party will go in groups of 4 and investigate Wolf territory. Safety is the top priority. But when everyone returned, Ferdinando regretted his decision. Ferdinando's eyes widened in horror. What do you mean? Sir Amon and Lady Lilia were taken by the wolves. When we were returning from the search, we were ambushed. Lord Amon and Lady Lilia told us to run first. They stayed behind to cover us. Aileen thought in the shadows. To the Wolf clan, a mage was a hostage they would never let go. The wolves had no mages of their own. But why did this happen? This wasn't how it was supposed to go. In Eileen's original memories, Amon and Lilia had been injured, but they returned safely to the academy. They were never kidnapped. Did I change too much of the future? Has fate been twisted because of that? To make things worse, panic spread through everyone. Even at their best, they weren't strong enough to fight the Wolf clan. In this situation, rescuing the hostages was almost impossible. But one thing was certain. Eileen's eyes hardened. I will go save them. But what about Ferdinando? She glanced at him from the side. Would it be safer to take him with me, or leave him here? Eileen's eyes flew open, her pupils shrinking. A blue beam of light shot into the sky. She hurriedly threw herself forward. Ferdinando! When the light faded, a long hair-covered spear was embedded in the tree. The knights stared in shock. What? Derek's pupils shrank violently. Damn it. A giant wolf emerged from the darkness, its blood-red eyes fixed on its prey. When we returned from the search, they followed us. The giant wolf bared its fangs. Saliva dripped from its jaws. Ferdinando drew his sword. Everyone prepared to defend. Derek gripped his sword hilt tightly and cursed under his breath. Damn it! The shadows of giant wolves closed in from above and below, completely surrounding them. Derek clenched his teeth. This has become a total mess. Aileen analyzed the situation calmly. There are 10 werewolves in total. They don't seem especially strong, but if we fight here, the werewolves' hearing will alert reinforcements deeper in their territory. And most of our people are already panicking. If battle begins, casualties are inevitable. At a time like this, the best option is to run. Ferdinando shouted the order, everyone retreat. At his command, the knights immediately fell back. Eileen's gaze sharpened. I have to draw their attention so everyone else can escape. One giant wolf opened its paw. A gold coin lay there quietly. It covered its face with a claw, as if enduring a headache. Aileen flicked her hand. The coin traced an arcade. Over here. The wolves' attention snapped to her instantly. They all turned at once and let out threatening growls. Aileen spun and ran. The pack chased after her. vanishing into the depths of the forest. Ferdinando's face changed in shock. Lady Aileen, without hesitation, he turned to chase after her. Derek, you go first. What? Ferdinando. Ferdinando rushed into the darkness without looking back. Don't forget your promise to me. Karen shoved a knight toward the group. Please take care of the wounded. Let go of me. I'm going to bring my sister and Sir Ferdinando back. Derek's expression turned hard. Treat the wounded. Protect the surviving knights. That is the top priority. Derek quickly sent out a search team, but on one condition. I know. I have to survive. If anything happens to me, promise me you'll protect the rest. Derek's eyes were steady. Ferdinando entrusted the safety of his companions to me. As long as I have that order, I will protect them. Derek turned to Karen. The same goes for you. Stay alive. Under the night sky, blood sprayed. Aileen stood amid a pile of wolf corpses and scathed. The werewolf stared at her in terror. Why you? Are you even human? Aileen swung her sword at him. He's going to kill me. He clenched his fist hard. His muscles tensed. Why isn't she attacking? He's here. Ferdinando moved through the forest. Sir Ferdinando. Thank goodness he hasn't noticed me. He let out a breath. I won't kill you. I need a messenger. Tell your leader this. If they lay a finger on those kidnapped humans. A cold light flashed in Eileen's eyes. Tell them to be prepared, to face the consequences. The giant wolf looked at her in terror, then spun around and fled in panic. Ferdinando crouched down. He found footprints in the mud. Those prints led deeper into werewolf territory. They must belong to Lady Aileen and those werewolves. Ferdinando's gaze hardened. I shouldn't have come here. His mother had once been a holy maiden, one who could see the future and hear the voice of the goddess. His mother had foreseen his future. Ferdinando, many lives depend on you. You must live. Her hand stroked young Ferdinando gently. I'm sorry to place such a burden on you, but promise me, before her death, she broke the vow of a holy maiden and gave me a prophecy. No matter how painful life becomes, you must survive. Whether I wanted it or not, those words became the iron law of my life. That is one reason I have endured this hellish life for so long. The werewolves never let intruders leave alive. With my abilities, if I face a large number of werewolves, I may not make it back. I may even be captured and become a burden to the Empire. Even if I catch up to Lady Aileen, it may change nothing. His life had always been a struggle to escape fate. That had never changed. But when he saw Aileen lure the werewolves away, a strange feeling rose inside him. If I don't follow her now, my life will never change. I will regret it. Ferdinando gripped the thing hanging at his collar. It was a small green jewel, his mother's keepsake. Mother. He tightened his hand around the thin cord. Please let me find Lady Aileen safely. Sir Ferdinando. A voice sounded behind him. Ferdinando turned sharply. It was Aileen, standing there unharmed. Why are you here? Ferdinando exhaled in relief. Lady Aileen, thank heavens you're safe. It seems you managed to get away. Eileen's voice turned cold. Go back. Ferdinando looked puzzled. Go back. Lady Aileen, where are you going? Aileen didn't look back. There's something I must do. She continued walking forward. Ferdinando followed behind her. Something you must do? Don't tell me. You're going to save Lilia and Amon by yourself? Aileen remained silent. Ferdinando let go of her. Your silence tells me I guessed right. Ferdinando looked straight at Aileen. You don't seem willing to turn back. In that case, we'll go together. If there's something that must be done, we'll do it together and leave afterward. Don't even think of going alone. Ferdinando is so stubborn. Doesn't he know I'm a Swordmaster? Normally, a knight entering werewolf territory alone would only be taken for a madman. I thought he would insist I leave immediately, and I had already prepared to persuade him to return alone. But instead, he said we'd go together. No, perhaps this is better. Though we're in danger, it's ironic that there may be no safer place than right beside me. I'm a Swordmaster, after all. Understood. We'll move together. Ferdinando smiled faintly. Eileen's face stayed serious. But there is something I must say, even if it's presumptuous. Sir Ferdinando, you are the Empire's second prince. If real danger arises, please allow me to step forward first. Ferdinando was silent for a moment. Understood. Of course, I have no intention of making you shield me, Lady Aileen. But for some reason, I feel that if I don't answer that way, I won't be able to walk beside you. Ferdinando lifted his head. Then, let's go. The two vanished side by side into the depths of the dark forest. Once she made up her mind, she hesitated no more. There was only one path through the woods. The deeper they went, the closer they came to the werewolves' camp. Sir Amon and Lady Lilia are imprisoned there. Ferdinando suddenly stopped and called softly Lady Aileen. Aileen turned back sharply. Ferdinando was looking at her with concern. Let's rest for a while and recover our strength. He pointed at a large tree. We should be able to avoid the werewolves here. We could take a short break. Aileen sat down against the tree trunk, while Ferdinando remained standing guard nearby. Ferdinando looked at her. Lady Aileen, why are you risking yourself to save those two? Aileen's gaze darkened. I have a debt I must repay. Ferdinando didn't understand. A debt? Aileen countered. Then what about you, Sir Ferdinando? You could have sent other knights. Why risk yourself and come in person? Ferdinando lowered his eyes. Because I couldn't just stand by. Amon and Lilia. And you too, Lady Aileen. Aren't you all here because of me? A bitter smile touched his face. Until now, too many people have died protecting me. I don't want to stand by again and watch another sacrifice happen. At the very least, as long as I am in werewolf territory, Lilia and Amon won't be killed. Even if I am captured with my status, the werewolves won't dare act rashly. Probably. That's strange. Ferdinando looked at her, a trace of confusion in his eyes. When I look at you, I always feel a strange sense of familiarity, as if I've forgotten something important. Aileen's pupils contracted. Impossible. Sir Ferdinando, did he use that special ability to see my past? Even in my previous life, I didn't learn until very late that Sir Ferdinando possessed a special ability. If he saw the countless cycles of my past within me, those lives I lived and died again and again. If he saw the miserable futures born because of me, saw him die again and again because of me, what am I supposed to do? A chill ran through Aileen. A rustling sound came from the bushes. Ferdinando reacted instantly and drew his sword. He pulled Aileen behind him and slashed at the bushes. The sword light split the darkness, and a white rabbit hopped out of the grass, a blade of grass in its mouth, chewing innocently. Ferdinando sheathed his sword and sighed in relief. Just a low-level magical beast. Since we concealed our presence, it probably didn't notice us. He turned quickly toward Aileen. Lady Aileen, are you all right? You bent down. Did I shove you too hard just now? I don't know when it started, but after every monster subjugation, Lady Aileen would look at me with those sorrowful eyes. As the second prince, I was already used to people's admiration and pursuit, so I accepted her gaze just as I accepted everyone else's. The only thing that intrigued me was that her gaze was different. That look drew me in deeply. Aileen hurriedly turned her face away. She apologized in a low voice, Sir Ferdinando. If you ask me what emotion is hidden in your eyes, I can't put it into words. Lady Aileen, why do you want to break off our engagement? Because I don't dare guess at the feelings hidden in those deep eyes. They are too heavy for me to bear. The two of them were only inches apart. He stared into her eyes. I don't want to break off the engagement. Aileen's eyes widened. Am I dreaming? He doesn't want to break off the engagement? And he has always called me lady. Students in the Academy's swordsmanship department cannot become official knights until after graduation. By calling me that, he is showing me respect. It was acknowledgement. When everyone else despised me and refused even to address me properly, only calling me Aileen. Among all the people in Lathers, there was only one person. We're both students in the swordsmanship department. Isn't it natural to call you that, Lady Aileen? Sir Ferdinando. He alone acknowledged me as one worthy of that title. So gentle, looking at me with the same eyes as in my previous life. Then why? If you never liked me, did you make me think you might care for me? Aileen's breathing faltered. Suddenly blood splashed. A demon wolf roared. Stop, right there. Its sharp claws swung down at a boy in a cloak, who fled in terror. Got you. The demon wolves let out low laughter. Aileen turned her head. That refugee child kidnapped by the werewolf clan. Somehow, the child looked familiar. The cloaked boy struggled desperately. Let go of me. Flames burst out in an instant. The boy was wrapped in fire. The demon wolf's claws were burned black at once. It screamed, ah, my arm. Aileen stiffened. I remember now. Memories from my previous life surged up. Years later, the werewolf clan invaded the empire and countless imperial subjects were slaughtered. The one who led them then was a human boy, a mage who could freely control fire. Rumor had it that he had once been a refugee kidnapped by the werewolves years earlier. Now it seemed the rumor was true. Aileen's eyes sharpened. But this was different from my previous life. Back then, that boy had been blind, but now he can see. The demon wolf leader glared at the boy. How dare you burn my arm? He grabbed the boy at once. I'll gouge out your eyes. As the price. Aileen and Ferdinando exchange a glance. Even if you can see, you'll just try to run again. A streak of blue flashed. Aileen drew her sword and shot toward the demon wolf like lightning. Her blade severed the leader's arm. The wolf let out a howl of agony. Ferdinando charged at another demon wolf. Lady Aileen, I'll draw their attention. Take the child and run. The demon wolves roared. Where did these bastards come from? Intruders. One demon wolf raised a spike club and attacked Ferdinando from behind. Ferdinando spun around. His sword shot upward and pierced the attacker's chest with perfect precision. Standing atop the demon wolf's corpse, Ferdinando said, Lady Aileen, your swordsmanship is astounding. Understood. We'll act together. But there is something I must say. Sir Ferdinando is the Empire's second prince. If things become truly dangerous, please let me stand in front. He really meant what he said. I didn't use sword aura, but he must have realized that my skill far exceeds that of a beginner. I had always hidden my true strength, the fact that I am a swordmaster, because I was afraid it would make my life now impossible to maintain. I have to keep Krelia in check while secretly changing the past, or in other words, the future. To save Sir Amon and Lady Lilia, I knew I would have to reveal some of my strengths sooner or later. But now that it has truly been exposed, I'm a little worried about how Sir Ferdinando will react. Ferdinando recalled several months earlier when Duke Ashley had visited the academy to subjugate magical beasts. I think Father will like Lady Aileen. Before coming here, you saw it on the training grounds, didn't you? How strong she is. She truly is gifted. Even a First Knight Order, famous for being sparing with praise, spoke highly of her. Is Lady Aileen really that extraordinary? At the time, I didn't think much of it. But now, never before have I seen Aileen's swordsmanship so clearly. She must have trained for a very long time. But why did she hide her strength all this time? Perhaps, just like the hidden past she never speaks of, she has her own reasons for hiding her swordsmanship as well. Ferdinando shook off the thought. For now, we need to take the child and move somewhere safe before more demon wolves arrive. Aileen replied quietly, yes. Why doesn't Sir Ferdinando ask anything? Is he just letting it go? Or did he see through me with some kind of ability? Ferdinando crouched down and asked with concern, are you all right? The boy trembled all over, curled up into a tight ball. Fernando reached out his hand. If you're all right, I'd like to check your injuries. Suddenly, a gleam flashed in Fernando's eyes. What is that? Fire burst from the child's hand. Monster, get away. I don't want to burn to death. Among the refugees, they had found a human who could use magic. Beat the child into submission until he obeys. Make him listen only to us. A mage would make a valuable slave. Aaron asked Sir Fernando with concern, are you all right? Fernando pressed a hand to his forehead. I'm Fine. The worse the memories are, the more exhausted I feel. The child is being hunted by the leader of the werewolf tribe. They'll never give up. If the werewolf tribe learns the child is in our hands, they may use him to threaten Sir Amon, Sir Lilia, or the refugees. The best plan is to rescue everyone before they realize we took the child. But the problem is we don't know where the hostages are being held. Erin lifted her head, her eyes resolute. I know where Sir Amon is. Fernando asked in shock. You know? How? Erin explained. I've been tracking him. More precisely, I've been tracking his magic. They say that once one reaches a certain level, it becomes possible to pinpoint someone across a wide area. But only exceptional beings like Swordmasters can do that. It's far beyond the reach of an ordinary apprentice. Could it be that Sir Aaron has already reached that level? Intruders. The intruders have the child with them. Capture them. Sir Fernando, I'll go find Sir Amon. The werewolves are catching up. We have to hurry. We have to move now. Aaron's expression grew grim. If we let our guard down for even a moment, we'll be surrounded. They're faster than I expected, but not fast enough. Werewolves emerge from the shadows. They've been lucky so far, but that's over. They should have known this would happen. You can't escape. Before the words had even finished, Aaron swung his sword, piercing the werewolf's throat with perfect accuracy. Next time, you won't be so lucky. I'll deal with you. I don't think you can. What is this? It feels like Aaron's skills are improving. No, that's not it. He's only revealing the power he'd been hiding all along. Everyone has a past. Whether to reveal it is up to each person. Whether one should trust those around them is a separate decision. A werewolf lunged forward, its claws flashing coldly. Aaron turned and swung his sword. A fierce blue streak split the darkness. Sir Aaron isn't trying to hurt me. I'm sure he's protecting me, and I don't intend to doubt his heart or his intentions. I just hope that one day he'll tell me. Maybe he thinks I'm not worthy of knowing. Fernando's pupils trembled and his body swayed. Aaron hurried to support him. Sir Fernando. And now Fernando had made another discovery. He had never expressed himself so openly before. What was he seeing now? That person is the Marchioness of Laceth. I was wrong. I am sorry. Please stop. I was wrong, ma'am. No matter the circumstances, a lady must maintain a proper posture and expression. Do you understand? Very good. At last you're wearing a useful face. Foolish and pathetic thing. Fernando stood to the side, his expression cold. This place had changed. No one can notice. I am a noble lady. Showing that in front of others would be improper. So I have to endure it. I'm not hurt. It doesn't hurt at all. Calypso looked at him, his eyes complicated. I'm in so much pain, I can hardly bear it. It's really hard to make sure no one notices. I suppose I'm verkvillet. This is something I've never experienced before. Does the necklace want me to see all this? What is this place? He saw another version of himself, pierced by an arrow. Collapsed beneath a tree. That's my mother. Aaron sat in a chair, his body trembling slightly. How am I supposed to endure all this, Calypso? Tears streamed down his face. You're no longer in this world. I am devastated. Fernando stood to the side, sorrow written across his face. All those rumors about Sir Aaron were lies. The Marquis's eldest daughter, a villain steeped in vice and indulgence. She bullied the maids until they fled overnight. She was the one who killed Lilia's brother. If those rumors were true, then all those absurd accusations were nothing but lies. I think I understand now why Sir Aaron never mentioned any of this. The necklace on Fernando's chest suddenly began to glow. He jolted. What? He looked down. The necklace my mother left me. The necklace burst into a dazzling green light. The light grew brighter and brighter. A powerful force surged into Fernando's body. He gritted his teeth in pain. Fernando stood frozen in place while the air around him still trembled. What was that just now? What is going on now? Why am I here? Was it really me? Another Fernando lay on the ground, a sword buried in his chest, blood everywhere. He muttered weakly. Fernando couldn't make out what the voice was saying. Aaron, he took a step forward. Hold on. Please, and clutching the necklace on his chest, he whispered with the last of his strength. Don't forget, the necklace exploded in blinding light. Fernando's body fell backward and plunged into a void. The light faded. The world became stars. A voice echoed in the darkness. Sir Fernando. Sir Fernando. Fernando jolted awake, gasping for breath. Aaron asked with concern, Sir Fernando, are you all right? Fernando braced himself against the ground. Yes, I'm Euphine. I suppose I was so shocked that I snapped back to reality. He pressed a hand to his throbbing forehead. Does her head hurt? Don't force yourself. Lie down a little longer. Even if things are urgent, we still have time. Catch your breath. Fernando looked at him, his vision blurred. The crack of a whip echoed. Tears ran down Aaron's face. His eyes were filled with despair. Fernando grabbed him by the shoulder. Lady Aaron, for a moment his throat tightened. I saw your past with my ability. He wanted to comfort him, to tell him how painful it must have been. But the words stuck in his throat. Clumsy sympathy would only make the other person suffer more. Immature empathy would only drive them away. If I bring up his past, I'll only add another wound. He didn't tell the whole truth. He must have had his reasons. Fernando stood up. It's fine. Let's go. I'll wait until he tells me himself. Please. He really did mention Lady Aaron just now. What exactly was that? Aaron lowered his gaze. Sir Fernando, I know this is reckless of me. I have many secrets. If you suspect I have ulterior motives, I can understand. But my desire to save everyone is real. So for now, please trust me. I trust you. Aaron froze. What? Fernando repeated firmly. I said I trust you, Lady Aaron. Don't worry about me. Go do what you have to do. I'll help you, Lady Aaron. Meanwhile, at the Laceth Marquis, the door was gently pushed open and a maid walked in. You called for me? She was Corelia's personal maid. Charlotte. Charlotte softly called, My lady. Without turning around, the woman asked, Any news from Raymond? Charlotte bowed and answered, Since he went to subjugate the werewolf tribe, there's been no word. Charlotte's expression sharpened. Could it be? Are you worried Sir Raymond may fail? The woman turned around, weariness in her eyes. I had a dream. She gently swirled her wineglass. Aaron, that bitch appeared in my dream. In it, Aaron held a sword to my throat. Aren't you jealous of my talent? You'll never have it. The woman gave a faint laugh. There's no need to worry over a dream. By now, Raymond has probably already dealt with Aaron. Even if Raymond failed, the second prince's punitive force has already reached the werewolf tribe. The outcome will not change. If Count Leon, the Swordmaster, joined them, things might be different. But his night order has been stranded by heavy rain. The ships cannot sail. The second prince's punitive force will never receive that support. Like lambs awaiting slaughter, they will eventually be discovered by the werewolf tribe and meet total destruction, won't they? Charlotte smiled. Even Aaron won't be leaving there alive. And more than that, this is a small token from a lady to be used for funeral expenses. She said all of this was his fault because he failed to stop his daughter. Do you really want revenge on him that badly? The corner of Charlotte's mouth curled upward. I have a way, but just in case, didn't we prepare a backup plan? The second prince and his reserve knight corps are all naive fools overflowing with a sense of justice. Charlotte handed the handkerchief to her mistress. Lilia, too, is someone consumed by justice. She will act exactly as we planned. She would never stand by and do nothing when faced with the murderer who killed her own brother. Inside a cave of the werewolf tribe, 2 werewolf guards stood watchfully. Lilia's eyes were cold. Amon shook the prison door furiously. Gates actually used a magic control stone on the bars. He turned to Lilia behind him. Can you really not use magic at all? Lilia closed her eyes, her tone calm. How many times do I have to say it? Impossible. That's why it's called a magic control stone. As long as you're near it, whether you're a swordsman or a mage, your mana is suppressed. To break it, you need a 6-circle mage or a swordmaster. To be honest, neither of us is at that level. Amon gritted his teeth. And of course you choose a moment like this to remind me. He slumped onto the floor. This is depressing. If I'd known, I would have trained in swordsmanship like my life depended on it. Fernando, he didn't run away, did he? With his personality, he'll definitely try to find a way here. I think so. Fernando always puts us first. Lilia said softly, we trust Derek. If it's him, he won't let Fernando come here. Amon nodded. You're right. He's usually nagging and annoying, but at times like this he's useful. Footsteps drew closer. A figure appeared outside the cell. Derek would be heartbroken if he heard that. Amon and Lilia sprang to their feet. Fernando was holding the boy. He smiled. I'm glad you're safe. Amon stared at him in shock. Why are you here? There are werewolves everywhere outside. Fernando answered calmly. Yes, there certainly are. Aaron reminded him. Sir Fernando, we don't have much time. Fernando nodded. Right, step back a little. Amon asked in confusion. What are you planning to do? Aaron drew his sword. A strong blue light spread along the blade, and a powerful wave of energy erupted in an instant. Amon and Lilia stared in shock. That energy is incredible. Amon cried out. No way. You're going to break the bars? Stop. That's a magic control stone. Only a swordmaster can destroy it. Aaron brought his sword down, and light swallowed everything. When the light faded, the magic control stone bars had shattered into pieces. Amon and Lilia stood dumbstruck. Aaron sheathed his sword. We need to leave now. Amon looked at her in disbelief. Under the moonlight, the cave entrance was clearly visible. Lilia suddenly stopped. What in the world? When she saw the corpses of the guards at the prison entrance, she had already felt something was wrong. But what lay before her far exceeded imagination. The ground was covered in werewolf corpses. Their group stood in a mountain of bodies and a sea of blood. Amon looked at Aaron. I knew you were hiding greater power. Aaron said nothing. Fernando turned to Amon. Amon, do you know where the refugees are being held? They're not in the prison. They were originally locked up with me, but the werewolves took them away. We have to rescue them quickly. Where would they have taken them? Let's get out of here first. The werewolves may already be closing in. The group hurried through the forest. Amon looked back. Lilia, hurry. Lilia stared at Aaron's back, her eyes filled with complicated emotions. Why was no one questioning Aaron Lysith's power? Wasn't it strange for a freshman in the swordsmanship department to possess this level of strength? Lilia, it was only a few gold coins. Is that what my brother's life was worth? Some said that for a commoner's life, it was already a lot, but I would rather have my brother back than this pitiful amount of money. Calypso was tormented by her until the very end. He said he couldn't give up. Our parents died early, and he had to work for his younger siblings until his body ended up like that. Lilia's eyes were full of anguish. It must have hurt so much, didn't it? Lilia, I heard you have talent for magic. Nurture it. If you do, you can accomplish anything. Become a great mage. And if you don't believe that, then so what? You could earn more gold than commoners see in a lifetime. You could even avenge your brother. Why did you do it? Why did that kind man have to go through something like that? What did he do wrong? And you're even a Swordmaster. That kind of talent is said to be given only to those chosen by God. What right do you have? I live in hell every day. It's unfair. You took everything from me. How could this be? Erin lowered her head. Her expression was conflicted. Fernando held the boy. Silently, he looked at him on. Please watch this child for a moment. He walked toward Lilia and knelt on one knee. Lilia, you've suffered so much. I'm sorry I didn't realize sooner. Lilia, look at Sir Erin. She came here alone to rescue you and Amon. I'm not asking you to forgive her. I just want you to think one more time. Did she really kill Calypso? Lilia's body trembled faintly. A streak of light shot toward Lilia. She dropped to her knees, staring as it rushed at her. She couldn't move. Am I going to die like this? Erin's figure was reflected in Lilia's eyes. She couldn't understand. If I die, wouldn't it make things easier for you? Then why are you stopping it? Lady Lilia, get down. Lilia's thoughts went blank. It was almost as if you didn't want me to die. Fernando shoved Lilia away and used his own body to block the light. Blood splattered. The beam pierced straight through him. Everyone stared at the scene in horror. Fernando collapsed in front of her, his chest soaked red with blood. Blood dripped from the tip of her hair, drop by drop, splashing onto the ground. Lilia's eyes widened in terror. On the cliff above, a pack of werewolves looked down on everything. What a pity. The leading werewolf licked his lips. We could have wiped them all out. In my first life, Lilia once came to see me. By then, everything in my life had already collapsed. Dreams, hopes, everything had vanished like bubbles. I struggled on, barely alive. And Lady Lilia had already become the youngest five-circle mage in history, with a brilliant future ahead of her. I had thought countless times about how I would kill you. Lilia's hand suddenly clamped around Erin's throat. Erin struggled for breath. Lilia's face was hidden in shadow, twisted with emotion. Actually, I had been waiting for her all along. Not long after Sir Fernando died, I completely lost the will to go on living. But Sir Fernando once told me to live happily. Those words were like a spell. Even when I was at death's door, they kept the last spark of my life alive. And at that moment, Lady Lilia came. Erin's hand slowly fell away. She stopped struggling. Lilia froze for a moment, shock flashing in her eyes. Erin crashed heavily to the ground. She broke into violent coughing as Lilia looked down at her, her expression conflicted. After that day, Lady Lilia left and never came back. The next day, word arrived that the youngest five-circle mage in history, once famous across the continent, had ended her own life. Amon, use pressure. Fernando, hold on. Don't lose consciousness. Keep pressing on the wound. Erin stood quietly, looking down at them. Calm down. Sir Fernando isn't dead yet. Thanks to that child's mana rampage, the beam slowed. It narrowly missed the fatal point. And with Lady Lilia treating him now, Sir Fernando will survive. So don't get too agitated. What a pity. I could have poured in a bit more power. Erin spun around sharply, killing intent blazing in her eyes. The werewolves howled in the night. Erin's eyes turned cold. Sir Fernando was gravely wounded here before. I never left his side, all to prevent such a tragedy from happening again. Erin swung her sword at the werewolves, its light cutting through the dark. But in the end, he was hurt again. I wonder whether Lady Lilia felt the same way back then. She devoted her whole life to magic only to avenge Calypso, and never got to witness the result herself. Perhaps at that moment, she also came to understand how I feel now. Even if I die, Calypso will not come back. Revenge itself is meaningless. Erin's sword flashed like lightning, cutting down werewolf after werewolf. Blood sprayed. A red mist spread through the air. His situation and mine may be different, but he too once lived in the hell where I now stand. Erin clenched her teeth. Why can't they just leave me alone? Why do they have to make me this angry? Fury burned in her eyes. This hellish despair, nothing can be changed. The werewolf chief stood at the edge of the cliff, looking down at the battling pack below. He issued a low command. Erin's pupils contracted. Energy surged out from the ore. That power flowed into the werewolf's body, and purple light gathered in his chest. The werewolf's muscles swelled, his bones cracking as if they would shatter. He threw back his head and howled. His body rapidly expanded, black energy stretching out like tentacles. Erin raised a hand to shield her face, barely enduring the impact of the force. Incredible. Did that stone amplify his power? This level, it's already close to that of a Swordmaster. The werewolf roared and pounced. She twisted aside, and the sword's edge traced a purple arc of light as it slashed at him. No, not close. This is Swordmaster level power. Erin dropped to one knee, panting, She suddenly looked up, a fierce glint flashing in her eyes as energy burst out at once. Aaron's sword light swept sideways at the enormous werewolf chief, but the chief neither dodged nor blocked, allowing the blade to pass over him. Then he spun and smashed his fist into the werewolf behind him. It exploded into a mass of flesh and blood. The pack recoiled in terror. The chief's gone mad. He's attacking even us. The chief's body swelled again, purple energy raging violently inside him. He had completely lost his reason. Run! The pack scattered. They fled in panic. Amon stared at the battle. This was no ordinary fight. It was a clash between superhumans. But a trace of worry showed in his eyes. Erin's current stamina simply didn't match the level of her swordsmanship. That was why, even during regular sparring, we always took her stamina consumption into account. She suddenly stopped, her body swaying. Blood spilled from the corner of her mouth. Amon stared in horror as Erin was seized by a werewolf. Blood gushed from her chest. Amon cried out at the top of his lungs, "Erin!" A ruthless gleam flashed in Erin's eyes. A cruel smile curled at her lips. She raised her hand, blue energy gathering in her palm. She drove her sword straight into the werewolf's chest. It howled and collapsed. Erin staggered upright, clutching the wound at her chest. Blood seeped through her fingers. Then she collapsed heavily to the ground. Lilia and Amon rushed toward her at the same time. Erin, beneath the night sky, a lone moon hung high above. Lilia looked down at the dying Erin. She's insane. She stretched out her hand, and a golden healing light enveloped Erin's wound. This woman was practically throwing her life away. Why would she go this far, sacrificing herself? Erin caught hold of Lilia's clothes. "Lady Lilia," she pleaded weakly, "please treat Sir Fernando first. Don't worry about me." Lilia frowned. "What are you talking about? Fernando's injuries have already been stabilized by my magic. I don't understand." The Erin I knew was a willful, selfish girl who threw tantrums whenever things didn't go her way. But what I saw for her just now was something completely different. Lilia shook her head. "No, don't be fooled. Erin Laceth killed my brother. The way she is now must be part of some plan too. Lady Erin came here alone to save you and Amon, risking her life. I'm not asking you to forgive her. I only ask that you think once more. Was she really the one who killed Calypso? That black orb the werewolf chief had. Do you really want revenge for Calypso that badly? I can give you a way. During this expedition, you'll have a chance to take revenge on Erin Laceth. An injured arm is fatal for a swordsman, isn't it? If your revenge succeeds, I'll give you this magic stone. It will make your power even stronger." But it gave off exactly the same energy. But how had the tribe chief obtained that orb? Amon looked at the unconscious Erin. "Lilia, Erin's lost consciousness. Calm down. She's only exhausted all her strength." Lilia's mind was in complete turmoil. Honestly, she could no longer tell truth from lies. But she knew what had to be done now. Heal Erin. Laceth, golden light gathered in her hands, warm and powerful, wrapping Erin within it. When the light faded, the night had passed, and dawn came to the forest. Amon led the knights through the trees, hurried footsteps breaking the morning silence. Derek saw who had arrived. "Amon, how are you here?" Derek answered, "We left a few people to tend to the wounded. Everyone else who could still move came." "Fernando, were you hurt?" Amon explained, "Don't worry. Lilia already healed him." "Where did you find the refugees?" "We discovered them while tracking Sir Fernando's trail. Some werewolves were about to take the refugees away. Luckily, there weren't many, so we were able to save them. What about you two? Are you both all right?" Amon avoided his gaze. "It's a long story." He looked up at the sky. "For now, let's head back." Meanwhile, at the Laceth Ducal estate, "Charlotte, you truly are a vicious woman. You even handed something like that to the werewolf chief." A magic circle appeared before him. The image of a maid emerged from within it. "I only wanted to make sure everything was going according to plan. You wanted to harm Erin and the second prince, didn't you? There's nothing more reliable than a black magic stone. A black magic stone, a special mineral forged through dark magic. At first glance, it looks no different from an ordinary stone, but merely carrying it allows the power of knights and mages to grow at an astonishing rate. However, the stone has fatal side effects, severe addiction, and eventually total loss of control. Those exposed to it for a long time gradually lose their sanity, and in the end, go berserk, becoming little different from monsters. There's a suppressant that can prevent that state, but it must be taken regularly for the effect to continue. If the second prince realizes Count Leon isn't coming, he'll definitely retreat. So I used the orb as bait and tamper with it a little. The werewolf chief desired greater power anyway. Even if he dies because of it, that's simply the price of his greed. Isn't it? Power always comes with responsibility. What about that little mage beside Fernando? Has he completely come over to our side? We haven't received a reply yet, but he's practically ours already. Those people are simple-minded, after all. I only need to stir up their desire for revenge, and they'll act exactly as we want. Is that so? By the way, any word from Raymond? The maid replied, not yet. It seems he couldn't slip away from the punitive force. A knock sounded at the door. What is it? A maid entered and handed over a letter. A message from the punitive force. Was it delivered personally by the second prince? Corellia opened the envelope, and her face darkened at once. The maid noticed the change. What does it say? You look troubled. Corellia's voice turned icy. Raymond deserted the punitive force. He disappeared halfway there. They're asking whether he might have returned to the Marquisate. The maid went pale. What? Raymond is missing? It seems our plan has gone off course. Once one link fails, the rest often begin to unravel as well. The first prince, Dietrian, folded his hands together, a meaningful smile curling on his lips. I am curious. What else has slipped out of place? In a country inn, Erin slowly opened her eyes, her consciousness gradually clearing. She blinked. An unfamiliar ceiling came into view. Erin pushed herself up, so I made out safely. Is this an in-room? She turned toward the bedside. Fernando was slumped there, fast asleep. Erin's eyes widened in alarm. Sir Fernando? Why was he here? Fernando was resting on her arm. I can't move. What if I wake him up? The door opened, and Lilia entered carrying a tray. Oh, you're awake. If you hadn't woken up today, I was planning to try another method. Lady Lilia walked to the bedside and gently shook Fernando. Baron Fernando, wake up. Fernando made a muffled sound. Lilia continued. Your fiancé is awake. You should get up too. Fernando's eyes flew open. Fernando sat bolt upright. Sir Aaron. She replied softly. Yes, Sir Fernando. He pulled Aaron tightly into his arms. No matter how long I waited, you wouldn't wake up. I was really worried. He murmured under his breath, thank goodness. Thank goodness, truly. Aaron stiffened in his embrace. Sir Fernando, Lady Lilia is watching. Fernando jerked as if electrocuted and immediately let Aaron go. Awkwardly, he cleared his throat. Lilia, you were here. Lilia put her hands on her hips, her tone icy. I've been here for a while. But fine, sorry to interrupt your reunion, but I need to speak with her alone. Fernando tried to stop her. Wait, Lilia, there's still something I want to say to Sir Aaron. She turned to Aaron, urgency in her voice. When we return to the academy, can you give me a little time? There's something I absolutely have to tell you. Aaron's body tensed. Something she had to tell me? Is she going to question my true identity? No matter how tolerant she is, she can't simply overlook the fact that I hid my power. Aaron lowered her eyes and answered quietly. Understood, Sir Fernando. All right, then I'll wait. Fernando turned and closed the door behind him. You two talk. The door shut softly with a click, and silence settled over the room. Lilia let out a long breath. She clasped her hands together, light glowing at her fingertips. An invisible barrier spread instantly. Lilia spoke. I've set up a soundproof barrier. She turned to face Aaron, her tone serious. Sir Layseth. Aaron's heart skipped. Sir Layseth. Not Aaron, but Sir Layseth. She met Lilia's gaze. Yes. Lady Lilia, I saw your scars. That's when I felt something was strange. Even through your clothes, I could see the old scars on your body. She recalled the scene. Lilia had ordered them. Everyone out. I'm going to change your clothes. Fernando and Amon grabbed her by the arm. Lilia struggled. Wait, why are you pulling me? Lilia's voice allowed no objection. I said get out. I'm changing her clothes. Lilia lowered her gaze. At first, I didn't understand why Fernando and Amon were both trying to stop me. But when I changed your clothes, I understood. Aaron looked confused. I understand, Sir Amon. But how would Sir Fernando know? It seems both of them were keeping your secret. If you don't mind, I'd like you to tell me about yourself. And about my brother as well. I want to know the truth. Whenever I reveal the truth, most people condemn me in their own way. A few choose to believe me, only to lose their lives because of it, simply because they learned the truth. A voice from the shadows whispered, tell her everything. If we tell her the truth, we can send her to join her brother too. Aaron's fingers trembled as she clutched the bedsheet tightly. I'm still afraid. Even after living twice, the pain of losing others still cuts to the bone. Lilia's hand came to rest over Aaron's. I know I have no right to ask this of you, but please tell me how my brother died. I want to know who killed him. I want the truth." Tears spilled from Lilia's eyes. Her shoulders shook uncontrollably as she tried with all her strength to suppress her sobs. Aaron stared at her, struggling inside. Normally, I would never speak of my past to anyone, but Lilia has the right to know the truth. This is not only my story, it is her brother's story too. Erin lifted her head, her gaze calm and distant. This is going to be a long and boring story. A very boring story. And so Erin began to speak. She told Lilia everything, except for one secret, that she had lived 3 lives. What she told was the story of Erin Layseth, not the wicked woman, but the pitiful and timid daughter of the Marquis's house. Lilia listened, her body rigid with shock, both hands over her mouth. "How could this?" Erin met her eyes. "Do you believe me?" Lilia lowered her head. "Do you remember the black orb the werewolf chief had? The orb that could strengthen one's power?" "Yes, I remember. Charlotte once offered to give me one too. She said it could help me avenge my brother." Erin shook slightly. "To be honest, when she said you killed my brother, I didn't doubt it for a second. For someone like her, why would she lie to a nobody like me? She had no reason to deceive me. But after hearing your story, I think I understand why she lied." Lilia's gaze turned heavy. Deceiving me was never her real goal. Erin Layseth, her true target from the very beginning, was you. Lilia sat in the chair by the bed, head lowered. "There's no excuse for what I did to you. Anger blinded me, and I never once questioned Charlotte's words. Like an idiot." The chair scraped back abruptly. Lilia suddenly stood and dropped to her knees with a thud. Erin tried to sit up in alarm. "Lady Lilia, what are you doing? You don't need to do this." She cut off abruptly as her body swayed. "Why are you?" Lilia quickly supported her. "Why are you moving around all of a sudden? You completely exhausted yourself. I'm not a saint. Recovery magic can't easily restore your stamina, but it's better than nothing." Erin looked at her in silence, then gently took Lilia's hand. "Please don't blame yourself too much. It's all over now. That was always their specialty, using every possible means to deceive and manipulate others." Lilia looked up. "Aren't you angry? They fooled the entire empire, including me. They spread vicious rumors about you and completely destroyed your reputation. Worse still, they even used me. Yes, I'm angry, furious." Lilia stared at her, astonishment filling her eyes. Looking at Erin, Lilia said, "I think now. I'm finally starting to understand you a little. You're always expressionless, and I never knew what you were thinking. But now I get it. You were deliberately hiding your emotions." Erin flinched sharply, as if her thoughts had been seen through. Lilia sat back down beside the bed. "By the way, what are you planning to do next? There are still things I don't understand. Why did they go to such lengths to win me over just to target you? And what exactly are they plotting that they needed to spread those vicious rumors and use you as a shield? And that black magic stone they offered me. At first glance, the stone seemed ordinary, but it wasn't a normal magic stone. It was made with forbidden dark magic. Where exactly did Charlotte get such a thing? I'm curious about that too. Normally, all standard magic stones are controlled by the royal family. One must have His Majesty the Emperor's permission to possess one. It is precisely through such strict control that the royal family's authority can endure in a world of swords and magic, standing firm and unshaken. Amir made possessed a mana stone that could never be obtained without the Emperor's permission. That was something even I hadn't known in my previous life. A completely new variable. Charlotte and Corellia, why would you do this to me? If their target was Sir Ferdinando, then they had no need to use me. I never treated them badly. What did I do to make them hate me so much? Why did they have to drag me into hell? In my previous life, this was a mystery I never solved, even until the day I died. But now, I can find the answer myself. Irene raised her head, cold light flickering in her eyes. A resolute aura surrounded her. Things would get busy very soon. Lilia stood up, preparing to leave. "We've talked for too long. You need rest. No need to see me out." Irene spoke up. "Miss Lilia, what are you planning to do next?" Lilia turned around. "Once I formally recover, I'm going back to the Magic Tower." Irene looked surprised. "The Magic Tower?" Lilia nodded. "Yes. Charlotte still doesn't know that I've already seen through everything. As long as I remain at the Academy, he'll keep approaching me and trying to draw me in. But the Magic Tower is forbidden ground that outsiders can never set foot in." A cold smile rose at the corner of Lilia's lips. "I'm going to give him no answer at all and simply disappear. They put in all that effort to lure in their prey, only for the prey to throw herself off a cliff on her own. I like to see how they deal with that." Iron looked at her helplessly. I knew it. You really aren't someone to take lightly. Still, once they realize you're perfectly fine, they'll probably guess something's wrong. Lilia spread her hands. Then I'll write a letter, or I'll just let them guess. In any case, until everything is settled, all I need to do is keep them confused. But that's not the main point. Lilia suddenly leaned closer, making Iron freeze in place. Why are you looking at me like that? Lilia stared at her. How did this child become a swordmaster? Even with natural family talent, no one could reach the realm of a swordmaster without proper training. She had deliberately stopped herself from saying more earlier. There had to be a deeper story behind it. It wasn't suspicion. She was simply genuinely curious. But did she have the right to pry into Iron's deeper past? Miss Lilia, there's something I've wanted to tell you. I am sorry. I couldn't protect Calypso. Iron lowered her eyes. Just then, Calypso came over carrying a tea tray, smiling brightly. Miss Iron, would you like some tea? Iron patted the sofa beside her. Calypso, sit too. Let's drink together. Calypso hurriedly waved her hands. That wouldn't be proper. Iron insisted. It's fine. No one will come here for a while anyway. Calypso smiled helplessly and sat down beside her. Iron clenched her fists. Calypso was a good person and a good friend. Hearing that, Lilia immediately turned and walked away. Her fists were clenched tightly. I will never forgive them. They dared to frame Iron and even thought they could manipulate me however they pleased. Lilia's eyes turned icy in an instant. Those two bitches. I will never let them have their way. A week later, the subjugation party finally returned to the academy. They had successfully exterminated the beastmen and rescued the refugees. The mission had been a complete success. But there was still follow-up work to do, settling the refugees, writing reports, and the like. So by the time Ferdinando received word that he had a visitor, it was already rather late. The principal of Atan's academy bowed respectfully. You were so busy with state affairs, yet you still honored us with a visit. May I ask what brings you here? Do I look like someone who needs to report my reasons to you? The principal was so frightened that he immediately bowed his head. And no, of course not. I spoke out of turn. If I must say, I came to deliver something personally. Footsteps echoed through the corridor. Miss Shijian stopped him. Hey, stop right there. Without Miss Shijian's permission. How dare you barge into the women's dormitory? Iron set her suitcase on the bed and let out a long sigh. I'm finally back. It was noisy outside. A man was shouting beyond the door. I told you, I have urgent business. How dare a mere maid talk back to me? Miss Shijian retorted angrily. I'm not a maid. Iron peered through the crack in the door. In the women's dormitory. Why was there a man's voice? The door was suddenly shoved open. A red-haired man barged in. Dietrian. She nearly called him by another name. He showed a meaningful smile. I've brought a gift for Iron Lazeth. She closed her eyes, thinking back over everything. It was a long story. Although Sir Ferdinando had been injured, we still rescued the refugees. Everyone came back safely, and Miss Lilia probably won't make the wrong choice again. For some reason, my relationship with her seems to have improved too. Then let me call you by your name as well. Iron jolted. All right, please do. Please call me by my name. Lilia turned and left. Then I'll be going. Iron watched her depart. Did that really count as our relationship getting better? Since she said I could call her by name, it felt like things had finally been resolved. That alone was already a huge change, something I never would have dared imagine in my previous life. It was noisy outside. A red-haired man barged in. Iron's pupils shrank. He was one of Crown Prince Dietrian's knights. His name was Roam. Roam gave Iron a slight salute. It's been a while. I've come to deliver an urgent letter. Iron repeated his words. An urgent letter? The knight answered solemnly, yes. By order of His Highness Dietrian. He held out a letter sealed with wax. This is an urgent letter from Lady Corellia. Iron's expression froze instantly. Iron unfolded the paper. To my dear Iron. The letter read, Iron, it has been a long time. I received word and inquired whether Raymond had arrived at the Marquisate, but it seems he has not yet returned. Raymond could not possibly have left the subjugation party of his own accord, so I thought perhaps something had happened. Prince Ferdinando's victory banquet will soon be held, so I intend to visit the academy, not only to see you, but also to confirm Raymond's situation. His Highness Dietrian said he would depart in advance, so perhaps this letter will reach the academy before I do. With love, Corellia. Iron nearly laughed. How ridiculous. She knew perfectly well there was only one reason her stepmother would treat such a trivial matter like an urgent letter whenever I did something wrong. She always did this. She wasn't informing me. She wanted to see me tremble in fear after receiving the letter and then laugh out loud. That had to be her purpose this time, too. Iron crumpled the letter into a ball and tossed it aside. But why send it through the crown prince? Had she already met with him? It wasn't strange. My stepmother ruled the social circle of the Lexia Empire. Simply by virtue of her blood ties to His Majesty, she possessed enormous influence. What's more, ever since I was little, she had frequently entered the imperial palace and instructed the future emperors. It was only natural that she would be close to the princes. Even so, having the crown prince personally deliver a letter was far too excessive. Wait, she just crumpled up the letter and threw it away? Roam's eyes sharpened instantly. Unbelievable. Was she still the timid girl I remembered? Iron spoke. Knight, Roam. Roam started. Ah, yes, Miss Iron. Miss Iron. She repeated that form of address. Her gaze turned cold. Iron called again. Knight, Roam. Yes, Miss Iron. Knight, Roam. Please speak, Miss Iron. Iron stepped closer. Knight, Roam. He finally snapped. Why do you keep saying my name while saying nothing at all? How rude. Iron flicked her hand sharply. The rude one is you, Knight Roam. Before I am the daughter of House Lazeth, I am first a student of swordsmanship. And yet you, a knight, can't even get a basic form of address right. That is absolutely unacceptable. A snicker came from his side. Shijian covered her mouth with her hand, trying hard not to laugh. This was bad. This lowly thing, she dared laugh at him. Roam's anger exploded at once. An ominous purple aura swirled around him. He clenched his fists so hard his knuckles cracked. Iron and Shijian both stiffened. What was this presence? It wasn't mere pressure. It was something strange, unnatural. It reminded me of that aura. A flash passed through Iron's eyes. She spoke again. Knight, Roam. Roam whipped his head around. What now? Iron's gaze was icy. Don't release your aura toward civilians. She pointed outside with her thumb. I'll be your opponent. Sunlight filtered through the treetops and scattered across the stone-paved training ground. Roam stood in the center of the field. The atmosphere was heavy. Iron's expression remained calm. Roam would be stripped of his knighthood in the future. In my past, the crown prince once provoked Ferdinando and challenged him to a duel. Their proxy knights, Suramon and Knight Roam, fought in their place. The result went without saying. Suramon won. Roam roared. How could I lose to someone like you? I refuse to accept this. But Knight Roam could not accept defeat. He drew a real blade. Steel flashed. Blood splattered. In the end, he wounded Suramon's shoulder. Because of that incident, Roam was stripped of his knighthood, and naturally the crown prince was disgraced as well and cast him aside completely. Roam roared impatiently. How long does it take to bring a wooden sword? Here it is. The crown prince was Sir Ferdinando's half-brother, but their personalities were completely different. Iron tossed him a wooden sword. For a duel, you must follow academy rules and use a wooden sword. Because he was close to my stepmother, the crown prince often visited the Marquis's estate. And toward me, a hand in a white glove lightly caught hold of it. A cold voice rang out. I was wondering why you were taking so long. So this is where you were making a scene. Iron raised an eyebrow. Roam's face stiffened instantly. Your Highness Dietrian. He stared at the newcomer in horror, a chill rising from the soles of his feet. A smile curved on Dietrian's lips, amusement glinting faintly in his eyes. He was the strongest contender to become the next emperor, and Sir Ferdinando's lifelong rival. Dietrian gave a slight bow. I apologize for Knight Roam's rudeness. I merely sent him to deliver a letter. I didn't expect him to cause such a disturbance. Smiling, Dietrian said, It really has been a long time. Miss Iron. Then his tone shifted. Or perhaps now I should address you as sir. Iron said nothing and only looked at him quietly. The students around them began whispering. Oh my God, it's the crown prince. I never thought I'd see him at the academy. His reputation is every bit as good as Sir Ferdinando's. I heard that in the werewolf subjugation, he and Ferdinando both rendered great service. Dietrian leaned close to Iron's ear and murmured, Though I can't imagine what help a girl who only recently picked up a sword could possibly have been. Iron's gaze turned cold. I know what he really is. She gave a slight bow. Thank you for your praise, Your Highness. I was simply lucky. Dietrian's smile froze. She dodged the point. Your luck truly is extraordinary. Some unknown swordmaster always appears to resolve your crises. Don't you find that strange? Every time Ferdinando is in danger, they appear. Dietrian suddenly reached out and seized Iron by the wrist. His cold gaze swept over her hand as if trying to see through her. A perfectly ordinary young lady who has never once wielded a sword before me. And yet your hands have calluses. And miraculously, you made it into the top 5 of the beginner division. I hated him in my previous life too. A memory flashed through her mind. Her mother's voice rang in her ears. "Iron, come and say hello. This is the future emperor." At first, I thought he was like a prince from a fairy tale. Beautiful and dazzling. I had even envied his noble appearance, so different from my shabby one. He seemed so radiant, but when he saw me being punished, that fantasy shattered in an instant. Iron trembled all over. "Your Highness." She reached out pleadingly. "Please save me." Dietrian violently slapped her hand away. He clicked his tongue, then pulled out a handkerchief and wiped the spot she had touched with disgust. How revolting. Iron's tears nearly spilled over. In the end, this world was only a book. The fairy tale prince I had imagined was nothing more than a monster wearing human skin. A man who mocked a young girl begging desperately for help. Even until the moment of my death, I could not forget what he said then. Iron raised her head, her gaze firm. "Your Highness, the reason I ranked near the top of the swordsmanship department was not luck." Iron shook off his hand and lifted her chin. It was skill. Roam rushed forward, glaring at her. "How insolent! How dare you lay hands on his Highness?" "Miss Iron." Dietrian suddenly froze, his body going still. That girl who once didn't even dare look me in the eye, now dares to look at me with such defiance. A cold smile tugged at Dietrian's lips. "This is very interesting." Roam spoke in surprise. "Your Highness, you find this amusing," Dietrian said with obvious interest. "So the rumors that your temperament has completely changed are true. This could be fun. Would you show me your skill?" Iron answered coolly. "Unfortunately, I already have an appointment." Dietrian's smile froze. "An appointment? With you?" He leaned close to Iron and demanded in a low voice. "With whom?" Iron's body stiffened. "I have an appointment with Sir Ferdinando." Dietrian's expression chilled instantly. "What, Ferdinando? How disappointing." He stepped forward. "We've known each other since childhood. I thought I was closer to you than Ferdinando." Iron took half a step back and asked warily, "What exactly do you want?" Purple light flickered in Dietrian's eyes. "Don't go see Ferdinando. Complete the task I am giving you. Show me your swordsmanship." Iron lazeth. "This is not a request." He suddenly grabbed her wrist. The black glove tightened like an iron clamp. "This is an order." At the same time, in the conference room of the central hall, a group of people sat gathered around a table. Derek lifted his teacup. The atmosphere felt strange. He couldn't say exactly what was off, but overall it felt calmer than usual and more serious. Especially after Lilia talked with Iron, she had relaxed a great deal. She was even drinking tea now. And there was Miss Ashley. Derek's gaze passed over her. She was reading to a child, one of the refugee orphans rescued from the werewolves. The child was temporarily staying at the academy, with nowhere else to go. And on the other hand, Sir Karen, ever since he heard Iron had been injured, he had been restless. He looked terribly unstable, as if he feared that once he left Iron's side, he would die. Karen carried a tray into the sick room and set it down on the small table beside the bed. He scooped up a spoonful of food and held it to Iron's lips. "Eat. I'll feed you." Iron froze. He insisted, "Let me help you eat. In your condition, what do you think you're trying to do?" Derek recalled the scene from when he visited her. Seeing Karen like that, I couldn't control my expression at all. Derek gave a self-mocking smile. "Still, I'm not exactly in any position to talk." Derek's thoughts returned to the past. Ferdinando. Back then, I was just like Karen. I'd lost my mind. He came back to himself and tapped his chin lightly with his fingers. "You also said that during this subjugation, a swordmaster appeared and helped you, correct? Not once, but twice." "That's right." Derek leaned forward. "Ferdinando, tell me the truth." His voice was low and sharp. "You know that Swordmaster, don't you?" I just can't shake the thought. First the ambush several months ago, and now the werewolf subjugation. That Swordmaster always appears when you're in danger. Once could be coincidence. Twice absolutely is not. And besides, when the werewolf leader was killed, you were unconscious. You, Amon, and Lilia happened to reunite with Ferdinando at that very moment, and the Swordmaster disappeared during that brief gap. That's the explanation you gave me, right? Amon quietly confirmed, yes. Derek sensed something off. This atmosphere, they're hiding something from me. The Swordmaster's identity and the cause of the werewolf leader's death are not important. Karen's voice softened. The only thing that matters is that my sister and Sir Ferdinando are both alive. Not important. Derek's tone turned ice cold. I need an accurate understanding of the situation to report to His Majesty and formulate countermeasures. Karen avoided his gaze. I don't know exactly what happened back then. I only know the situation was critical and casualties were inevitable, Sir Derek. Is the Swordmaster's identity really more important than everyone's lives? Derek immediately retorted, "That's not what I meant. Why are you keeping it from me specifically? Am I really that untrustworthy?" Karen spoke calmly. "It's not that I'm not curious, but if Sir Ferdinando has chosen silence, then I won't press him. Since Sir Ferdinando has chosen not to speak, I assume he has his reasons." A trace of gratitude showed in Ferdinando's eyes. "Thank you for understanding, Sir Karen." Sir Karen seems to know nothing about Sir Iron. I could reveal everything I know, but no, that's not what she would want. Derek took a deep breath. "All right, I won't ask again until you're ready to speak. So, for now, you want me to trust you, correct? But I still have to submit a report to His Majesty, so we need to keep our story consistent." Ferdinando nodded. "All right, thank you, Derek." Then his gaze shifted to Ashley. "Miss Ashley, there is something I want to discuss with you." Ashley looked up in confusion. Let's dissolve our contract." Ashley raised her head. Bringing this up in front of everyone meant he truly intended to end it. Ferdinando lifted his teacup. "You dislike it too, don't you? You don't need to force yourself for my father's sake anymore." Ashley remained silent. Then she gave a faint smile and stood up. "Saudi, could you give us some privacy? There are a few things I'd like to discuss with Ferdinando alone." The door closed softly. That contract was only a formality from the beginning. It became invalid the moment you got engaged. Since you brought this up immediately after returning from the subjugation, you must have a very good reason. I'm guessing that reason is Sir Iron. Ashley smiled slightly. "You saw it too, didn't you? You saw something in Sir Iron. And you also saw—" "What do you mean?" "Miss Ashley, did you see something in Sir Iron as well?" His fingers tightened. "Yes, I saw a vision of my own death. I was running desperately through the forest, fleeing monsters. In the end, the monsters caught me and killed me. That was the fate prepared for me. Since the Holy Kingdom was reduced to a vassal state of the Empire, the first saintess had been born in the Empire, Miss Ashley. From the moment she was chosen by the goddess, she lost her own name. She was called only by her family name, or simply the saintess. The saintess was expected to dream of the future, receive omens, commune with the gods, and hear divine revelations. Yet Miss Ashley had never once heard the voice of God. She was, in truth, an utterly half-baked saintess, and she knew exactly why. It all stemmed from the current emperor of the Lexia Empire, Sergia Lexia, and his atrocities. He trampled the Holy Kingdom underfoot, reduced it to a dependent state, and even took the previous saintess as his consort by force. He drove the people of the Holy Kingdom into the monster-infested western wastelands and left them there to slowly perish. He was a man who killed without hesitation for amusement. Tragically, the world knew nothing of his true nature. The newspapers were filled with sensational headlines. The Marquis Lazeth's daughter commits evil again. The Marquis Lazeth wins another great victory on the front lines. He used those scandalous rumors to conceal his own crimes. That was the truth Miss Ashley discovered only after becoming the saintess. Miss Lilia had noticed something strange as well. Every time the emperor committed some atrocity, a major scandal would erupt. Could it be? Of course. Perhaps it was only a hasty conclusion. But no matter what, his crimes against the people of the Holy Kingdom were absolutely real. Miss Ashley clenched the documents tightly in her hand. "I will make him pay for his sins. That must be why divine power manifested within me." From that moment onward, Miss Iron did everything she could to form a contractual relationship with Ferdinando and support his cause. That was only part of it. For a long time, I prayed desperately to the goddess. I begged her, even just once, let me hear his voice. But he never answered my prayers. And yet, that voice which had been silent for over 10 years finally spoke several months ago. Ferdinando started. Several months ago, during the monster subjugation mission. "Hello, Miss Lazeth. We crossed paths several times, but this is our first proper meeting. It's an honor to meet you, Miss Ashley. Do not stop him." That was the divine revelation I received. Ferdinando's brows drew together slightly. "Do not stop him? What does that mean?" The door was suddenly thrown open. Amon rushed in. "Ferdinando, we got trouble. I just heard from the guards. The Crown Prince has already arrived at the academy." Ferdinando looked up sharply. Dietrian, Amon's expression was grim. "Worse than that, the Crown Prince. has already ordered that bastard Roam to duel Iron. Dietrian looked down at her with a false smile on his face. The condition for leaving here is simple. If you duel Sir Roam and win, then I'll permit you to go see Ferdinando. Iron said nothing. The Crown Prince's intentions were obvious. One student whispered, Sir Roam? Isn't he one of the Crown Prince's chief knights? Another chimed in, how could a student possibly defeat him? What if she's gravely injured? He wants to humiliate me in public. Setting aside the fact that the Crown Prince had placed his knights all around the area, with Roam only one of them. Is this because you're engaged to Ferdinando? Dietrian's gaze turned cold. Your attitude, even your eyes, are becoming more and more like his. Well, why not break off your engagement to Ferdinando and come to my side? If all goes well, I might even make you empress. Lies. Not a single word he said held any sincerity. But Iron, I know how desperately you crave affection. You're probably flustered just hearing my offer. You can't even bring yourself to meet my eyes, because you'd see my interest as an honor. Answer me now. Say that you want me, Prince Dietrian. Even if I were to break off my engagement to Ferdinando, I would never go over to your side, your highness. Dietrian's smile froze. Roam, the knight behind him, stiffened in shock. One of the students covered their mouth. I didn't hear what Iron just said. The surrounding whispers came to an abrupt halt. Only Iron's voice rang out clearly. What else could you possibly do? Do you think anything will change just because I'm engaged to Ferdinando? Ferdinando would find being engaged to you dreadful. That engagement would only lower Ferdinando's value. He was too close. Take a slight step back. Dietrian pulled her closer. If you want to avoid me, then try. Let's see what that does for you. A wicked smile touched his lips. All you need to do is as I say. Corellia taught you that, didn't she? You haven't forgotten. Iron remained silent. With so many eyes on them, this had to be handled carefully. If she angered the Crown Prince any further, Ferdinando would be dragged into it too. Then a hand seized Dietrian's arm. Dietrian looked startled. Ferdinando gripped Dietrian's wrist. Let go of her hand. If an ordinary person had dared touch him, their head would already have been cut off by the royal knights. But with that filthy blood mixed in from the start, you shouldn't even be allowed to touch a single hair on me. I should thank my father, who values legitimacy so much, for publicly declaring him to be my mother's son. That made Ferdinando my younger brother. A trace of contempt flashed in Dietrian's eyes. You bastard, like a maggot, your life really is tenacious. Iron stared in shock at the man who had suddenly appeared. Lord Ferdinando, why are you here? He stood in front of Iron, his movements decisive. It's been a while. He raised his eyes, smiling with amusement. Did you only just hear that I was at the academy? Amon's gaze sharpened. I didn't sense him at all. Dietrian drew closer. You were looking for Iron? As a prince of the empire, I wanted to see for myself the ability of an outstanding student. Ferdinando replied. Iron already had an appointment with me. Dietrian let out a soft laugh. Is that so? And then Ferdinando released his wrist. We're leaving. He turned and took Iron's hand. Shall we stop them? Dietrian stopped his knight. No need. The recent subjugation of the werewolf tribe has only raised Ferdinando's popularity again. The students are all praising his achievements. Dietrian watched their retreating backs. Annoying as it is, let's end today's amusement here. The knight bowed. Yes, let's make a bet. Ferdinando, the two of us. Let's see who can win Iron. Dietrian's footsteps echoed as he slowly approached Ferdinando. There have been rumors lately, quite convincing ones. Iron Lazeth, have you fallen in love with her? Ferdinando, you know this yourself. The moment you truly begin to cherish something, that thing becomes your weakness. Dietrian's smile was cold and mocking. You haven't forgotten, have you? Iron watched them. Why was the Crown Prince acting like this? Every time I met him at the Marquis' estate, he looked at me like I was an insect. Why was he so determined to pick on me today? Ferdinando stepped forward, placing himself before Iron. Iron is not a toy. Don't insult her. If you dare lay a finger on her, I won't let it go either. Dietrian's smile twisted, with a touch of madness in it. He burst into laughter. All right. Then try it. I wasn't interested before, but now I've changed my mind. She's completely different. Compared to the last time I saw her, she's like another person. Could Iron Lazeth be one of those chosen by the Holy Sword? If so, that would explain why Father insisted on keeping her at the Marquis' estate. It would also explain why he searched so relentlessly for those chosen by the Holy Sword, only to destroy their gifts and kill them. Dietrian's smile deepened. Things are going to get very interesting from now on. No matter. Sir Iron is a swordmaster, after all. I wasn't interested before, but now I've changed my mind. Ferdinando's thoughts churned. Even if Dietrian wanted to bully Sir Iron, he wouldn't dare face a Swordmaster head-on. But what if? What if they attacked Sir Iron together? If the two Swordmasters under Father joined forces, then Sir Iron would. Ferdinando's fists clenched hard. Ferdinando! Iron's voice pulled him back to reality. He turned around. There was a trace of concern in Iron's gaze. Are you all right? Ferdinando looked slightly dazed. Yes. Ferdinando and Iron sat side by side on a stone bench. He apologized softly. I am sorry. We agreed to meet today, but this isn't how I wanted to drag you here. Iron shook her head. It's fine. I didn't even notice Amon slipping away. I should apologize to him later. He reached out and gently took Iron's hand. I grabbed you too hard. Does it hurt? Iron lowered her eyes. You know how strong I am. Ferdinando tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. Really? A flush spread across Iron's cheeks. Two passing knights whispered, "Look, it's Prince Ferdinando and Sir Iron." Iron stiffened and shifted away a little from Ferdinando. If you mean His Highness Dietrian, I really don't mind. And with so many people around, you don't need to deliberately protect me. If word reaches the Saintess, it will trouble her too. Ferdinando looked at her and softly called, "Sir Iron." His eyes flickered. Why bring her up all of a sudden? Could it be? He sprang to his feet. And no, that's not it. Iron was startled by the sudden movement. Yes. Ferdinando spoke firmly. She and I have no relationship whatsoever. Iron repeated his words. No relationship whatsoever? That's right. Miss Ashley and I are not lovers. Because of certain special circumstances, we once had a contractual relationship, but that has already ended. Lord Ferdinando, he and Miss Ashley have no relationship? Why is my heart beating so fast? Even if there's nothing between them, so what? In Lord Ferdinando's future, there's no place for me, so don't be greedy. Iron, be satisfied with this much. Ferdinando took her hand again and called softly, "Sir Iron, I know you're hiding something from me. I have secrets too. One of them is my relationship with Dietrian. Didn't you see what things are like between us?" Ferdinando bent down and kissed the back of her hand. You want to hide your identity as a Swordmaster. You must have your reasons. I wouldn't dare make assumptions about them. Ferdinando lifted his head, his gaze burning. But there is one thing I know for certain. Contrary to all the rumors, you are kinder than anyone. Ferdinando pleaded earnestly. So please take it back. Take back what you said about breaking off our engagement. Iron stared at him blankly, her heart trembling.